Pal. Buddy. Buddy. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Friday, gotta get down on Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome in, people. Great to have you. Happy, it is broke now. I done broke it. We're starting off with a bang.
How many times have you supposedly broke it, though? I mean,
no, this time the part snapped.
Oh, that's not good.
Nah.
You don't need that part anyway.
I mean, it's just an excuse to go buy new headphones.
Well, the battery's not going to fall out.
Yes, it does. That's the problem. I have to be super. My headphones, there's a little clip on the side because they are, super professional noise canceling battery operated headphones. And there's a little
$12.98 at Walmart.
No, these are like not that. These are daddy's got to make a living headphones. All right. There's a little clip on the side, little, I don't know, what do you call it? Little this thing on the side.
It's a plate.
Yeah, there you go. Little plate that clips onto the side to hold the battery in. And now, in fairness,
there's tape down the hall. I mean, we could probably have tape in the office.
I am not going to be that guy.
Why?
I'm not going to be the guy that rolls in here with janky ass equipment duct taped on his head.
Listen.
It's not happening.
Chris probably has some black tape that will match that perfectly. And unless someone zooms in, they're not going to know.
No, it is not that I've correctly accessorized my duct tape. I'm not going to be the guy that's rolling in here with some janky stuff hanging off his head. I got a professional image to maintain.
This is what are they? It's rhinestone. What is that?
Cowboy?
No. That stuff that you can put on your shirts and your clothes and.
Oh, you want me to bedazzle my
headset? That's it. You could bedazzle it.
Listen,
yeah.
Just so we're clear, I'm
really happy that I forgot what bedazzle was. But.
I'm not above being flashy. All right. I'm not. I go with the black headset because that way I can wear any color and like my headset doesn't clash. What I can't do is like with my glasses, where I got 9 different pairs. I got to rotate through based on matching them to outfit. That's important. If I'm going to wear, if I'm going to get colored headsets, green headset for green jerseys, white when I wear off colors, black for when I wear black, If I go black headsets,
I'm really surprised you haven't done
anything.
that yet. I am shocked.
It's only because they don't make my my preferred brand / model of headset in color.
So that's what it is. Okay,
but so I finally
you've never tried other headphones and find some some that actually go all the way over your ears.
I don't like the fully encompassing headset. I don't know why.
Which are also these are noise canceling. They're also noise canceling.
It's not about
without a battery.
Not about the First off, I'm going with, and I haven't worn your headset. I've worn the other pair you have in there. These are the best quality set of headphones I've ever worn. Just in 17 years of doing this, I've always come back. Now, I update the model when they put out the new version of the model, but these are the best head cans I've ever worn in terms of sound quality.
These cancel out Rob Brown. So if they cancel out full-throated Rob Brown, they're pretty good. That's all I'm saying.
So I've got my favorite. I've got my thing. And I like my head cans, but I just snap the plate off the side, which is just my excuse.
So what you're saying, if you're a aspiring headphone company out there who would like to try sponsoring Rob Brown, he's open for it.
He is. Now, I will also tell you, I'm taking him for a test drive first. And if I don't like him, I'm not rolling with it. All right. Hey, it is Friday. Got to get down on Friday. We got a lot we got to get to here on the radio program today. It is obviously, as mentioned, WrestleMania weekend. Whoa. So coming up at 9:20 this a.m., a bonus Fight Club for you. We did day one predictions and prognostications yesterday. we do Sunday, day 2, projections and prognostications coming up at 9:20 this morning. So if you're a wrestling fan, make sure you are around for that. We got to talk a little bit about this this conversation that Aaron Rodgers had on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. Because
here it comes. I've been waiting. I've been waiting to see, because I have a theory in my head where you're going with this, and I can't wait to hear.
If the Jets did to Aaron Rodgers what Aaron Rodgers said the Jets did to Aaron Rodgers, that's bleeped up. Okay, it just is. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, the guy, respectfully. Not a fan. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, is a quarterback, is an NFL guy. Regardless of how I feel about Aaron Rodgers and his opinions on things outside of football, regardless of how I feel about him,
outstanding opinions, mostly.
No, not even close. Just opinions. Regardless of how I feel about Aaron Rodgers as a guy, Aaron Rodgers as a person, if the Jets did what it is claimed that the Jets did by Aaron Rodgers, that's not cool. And I will go one step further and say that type of behavior, whether it is by a new GM and head coach, an old GM and head coach, whatever, that type of behavior is the type of behavior that prevents guys from wanting to come play for you down the line. That's the type of behavior that ruins a franchise. I don't really care if Aaron Rodgers jerked you around a little bit. And let me be clear.
You said ruins a franchise as if that franchise has been anything but.
Well, I think that's the point,
for a long period of time.
I think that's the point. If that is the type of behavior that goes on with a franchise, then it is not all that shocking that they're having a hard time finding success, because there's the element of getting guys to want to come play for you. And then there's the element of getting guys, once they come play for you, to totally buy in and want to represent, want to play for the logo. This is kind of this thing we've talked about in the college ranks for a long time, with the belief that a lot of y'all have of, well, teams can just go out there and with NIL money buy the best team. And there's this thought of you can buy the most talent, but that doesn't translate to you buying the best team. Because if you got 11 guys on the field that are only there for the money, they will not beat 11 guys on the team that are there for the logo, and the money's a nice little benefit. And don't get me wrong, I do not fault Nikola Jokic. I do not fault guys who just do it for the money. They're never going to love being a whatever, Jet, Tiger, whatever. They're never going to love it. They love getting paid to do something they just happen to be good at. Again, Nikola Jokic, one of the best players of all time. I genuinely wonder if he would be even better if he actually loved basketball.
See, I don't entirely agree with that. I think he doesn't like the things that go with basketball. I think he loves basketball, but I don't think he likes having to do interviews and all the other outside stuff. I think he would just like to go do his job and go home. Doesn't mean he doesn't love his job, but there's a bunch of stuff that he doesn't seem comfortable with.
And that may be true too. To me, I get the vibe of guy who doesn't love basketball, but I could be totally wrong. Irrelevant to the conversation of money will buy you the best talent. It will not buy you the best team. The best team is only created when you got a bunch of guys in the uniform who want to be the best team.
So you're saying all those people who said that Ohio State only won the national championship because they paid all that money, that they're wrong?
Yeah. I said that then, I'll say it again now. Yeah. The answer is yes. This is one of those times where, yes, Rob Brown will buy into your sports cliches. Y'all know I hate a cliche because cliches are just crutches that are used to avoid having to actually construct and distribute a thought. I hate a cliche. I think they're more often than not, they allow people to be lazy in the way that they communicate. And I firmly believe that one of the biggest problems we culturally have is we've created this world where effective communication is somehow bad. And I don't like that. But that's just old man yells at clouds. To me, my thought is, in order to get the best team, you've got to have not just talent, but you have to have guys out there that believe in what you are doing. This is one of those times that the old cliche of give me 11 guys who genuinely believe and have heart over 11 guys that are exceptionally talented but are just there for a paycheck. You got to have guys that are bought in. There are plenty of it. Who was the and now I'm blanking on who it was. But there was a NFL player. We played a clip on the Audio Blitz a week or so ago who was talking about Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz left the New York Giants towards the end of his career. And he went to the Chicago Bears. And he was doing a podcast a couple of weeks ago. And he said, when I got to the Bears, everything there was, in fact, I actually think he used the word trash. He said the coaching was trash. The ownership was trash. The food was trash. Everything was trash. He said you could tell that they were more about profiting. They were more about money than they were about winning. And when you create that belief system within players, that your organization cares more about being profit-driven than about winning, then you can't really get upset with players who then adopt the mentality of, I'm just here to be a pro and make money. Versus when you see these teams that create this culture of buy-in. Yeah, you're going to make a lot of money being here, but you better buy into winning. This is the Chiefs mentality. This is the Patriots way, the Belichick way, whatever. And if you are not bought into winning, then we will buy you out. We will send you on your way. And I think this is going to, as NIL continues to expand, I think this is going to become more prevalent in college sports. It is not just going to be go find the most talented guys who command the most NIL money. It is going to be go find talented guys that command NIL money, but totally buy into what you are doing. This is why, despite all of the doom and gloom about, say, hypothetically, Clemson, the last couple of years, it has been expected that this team was going to hit a cliff. Last year, they won a power conference and went to the college football playoffs. Were they Ohio State caliber, Michigan caliber? No. And there is going to have to be some changes to get there. But a part of the reason that Clemson will not go away is because they have their culture, they have their mentality, and if you are not all the way bought in, you will not fit in there. I've been talking about Shane Beamer. Yesterday, I got the chance to do an interview with Kyle Kennard, defensive end, going into the draft this year, just inducted into the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame. And thanks again to Dave and Mikey Football from the SC Football HOF who invited me out there yesterday. Got to talk to Kyle Kennard for about 5 minutes yesterday. And one of the questions I asked him was about culture and buy-in at South Carolina. I'm going to play that for you later in the show. I asked him about culture and buy-in, and he said the way that Shane attacks the game is the mentality of a guy who understands how to get the best players to buy into the culture. He said you can feel the tonal shift there around it. I talked to John Abraham, longtime NFL icon. 6-year Atlanta Falcon, made my life as a Saints fan live in hell for about 6 years. John Abraham, I said, what's the difference between South Carolina when you were there and South Carolina now? And he said, our coaching was nowhere near as good as it is now, and our culture was nowhere close to as good as it is now. He said, you can feel the guys bought in. He said, watch a South Carolina game over the last couple of years. What do you see? You see players coming back. You see guys who left the program coming back, standing on the sideline. And not just young guys, but guys from Gamecock days long ago that suddenly want to be back around the program. That's a buy-in in culture. That's a culture shift. That is a culture shift that is so prevalent that guys who haven't been around the program for a long time feel it and want to come back and be a part of that. And that's the difference right now. That's why I've said I actually do believe in the upward trajectory of the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's not because they necessarily have the best talent in college football. It's not because they've done a great job with their NIL collective and their NIL payout. It's because of the fact that just based on conversations I've had with players current and past, they are all bought in on this culture shift. They are all bought in on the belief that the direction that Shane Beamer is driving them in has full and entire buy-in from everybody. That's important. So if this is, to circle back to where this conversation started, if what Aaron Rodgers claimed the Jets did to him is truly what the Jets did to him, that is the mark of a organization that has a crap culture. And when guys show up and they see people being treated like that, then why would they buy all the way in? How many times have I said loyalty is not given, it is earned. Respect is not given, it is earned. Cliches, one of the ones I hate, respect your elders. Nope. I respect people who have earned respect. I will always assume you earn respect, but I'm not just going to give it to you freely because you accomplished the feat of not dying, right? Respect is earned, loyalty is earned, not given, and behavior like that from the Jets, that's not how you get loyalty or respect. And if you don't have loyalty and respect from the guys you're paying, you're not going to get the best out of the guys you're paying. That's just how it broke down to me. That being said, Aaron Rodgers also had thoughts about his future. I'll tell you what those are, because I think there is a negative element to the Aaron Rodgers conversation there. We'll talk some baseball. We'll talk some WrestleMania, talk some college basketball, talk some pro basketball, talk some hockey. We're talking everything because the Rob Brown Show is in all the sports show. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show is live on the Fan Upstate.
Perhaps if you took some fire and melted a new little knob thing on there, and then I don't know what I mean, do those things even have a name?
It's just like
I'm guessing that's the part you broke off that little.
Yeah, it's just like the little, like the part that clips down in there.
Yeah.
Right? Like the little piece that comes down, it has a little triangle on the end that goes and snaps in. That piece broke off.
If Chris is any kind of engineer, he should be able to make you one. Make you one out of wood.
on your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Parkenburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
On your smart speaker, just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
Wire to wire with Diesel and Cobra. Turn on, leave on.
Let me ask this question, because I saw these at the store today on these eggs. Is it okay to buy, because I don't think so, pre-boiled, hard-boiled eggs in a bag? Ugh. That is disgusting, isn't it?
I'm sure Rob is off trying to fix his headphones, and that's why he's not in here. Sure, that's what it is.
What's the difference? Do you boil an egg and then boil it, or do you? No. Pickled, when you put it in pickling brine, it soaks in and just preserves the egg. But you still have to boil it, right? I don't think so. Do you have to? Yes, you do. I guess you do. You know what? I've never bought them, so I wouldn't know. Diesel Googles how to brine eggs.
Wire to wire. Diesel and Cobra.
I just sent you something. According to Barstool Sports, Mike Leach allegedly once had to be talked out of putting a little person in the backfield and throwing him over the line of scrimmage. That would have been amazing. I mean, who doesn't want it? Well, there'd be some people who wouldn't want to see that. I mean, just a short person or an actual.
No.
Okay.
I can't say that. But
Why can't you?
All right, I have to get to this story. So, what's the weirdest reason you've ever had to miss work? You ever had a weird reason you had to miss work? Like a weird injury or something something that when you called the boss to tell him you had to miss work, you were like, listen, you're not going to believe me, but you got any stories like that?
See, I'll have to think about that because I really don't miss work too much unless I'm in the hospital nearly dying, which happened a couple of years ago. People don't realize how close. When you're being fed intravenously, that means you die if you don't get fed intravenously. But I'm trying to think of some weird. I usually would come to work. I mean, odd injuries. I had surgery somewhere down there on.
Did you lose your groin?
The groin was injured.
Okay.
And or part of it was.
Sure.
Trying to think of a good way to put it. But it was an old injury. And I'm not going to say why. It was because it's bad. But I came with ice packs and did a live show on location with ice packs because I
gotta say,
I like coming to work, dude. I
have something like 400 sick hours banked because I've taken, I think, 2 sick days since I got here. One of them was because I had to get my teeth reconstructed. And the other was because I didn't think any of you would appreciate me doing a show via Comrex live from the commode. And it was one of the worst, those spells of my life.
Yeah. I mean, I've had those, but those aren't weird. Those are just, it happens to everybody.
I don't know. Half of my front 2 teeth are missing. Wasn't my
best.
The good news is I was just able to snap a picture and send it to the boss and be like, see, I'm not messing with you. Sorry. I'm not messing with you, boss.
Yeah, you could have photoshopped that. I mean, you could have, but it's you. So he believed it.
So the weirdest one that I ever had, and there's a reason I'm telling you this.
You came here with Bell's palsy. So I mean, you're like me. And admittedly, I thought we probably were pretty close to being done. So it's like, who's the next guy?
That one was rough because I couldn't say S's. And at the time, our affiliation was with an outlet that had a lot of S's involved.
It took a while before I was comfortable making fun, but I got there. So, I mean,
it's me and Jim Ross. The weirdest one that I ever had, I had to miss a show. This would have been, 10, 11 years ago. I had to miss a show because, and I could not tell you how embarrassed I was. I over microwaved a Hot Pocket, bit right into it, and I had a blister dead front center of my tongue about that big around. And talking was not an option. It hurt to do it. I sat on my couch for 2 days waiting for this thing to go away. The majority of the time with my tongue outside of my mouth because this blister
it gets really dry when you do that.
Oh, yeah. It was awful. And so I very much remember that I called my boss at the time and I was like, I can't come in. I can't talk right now. And he's like, what is wrong with you? And I just said, blister on tongue. And he's like, dude, you can just take a sick day. I'm not going to get mad at you for if you just need a day off. I was like, no, I snapped a picture and sent it to him. That's the weirdest one that I've had to miss.
A pen in it?
No, I just let it be. It hurts so much.
Okay.
You know how when a blister finally pops and that top layer of skin comes off and it's just that raw underneath part, how much that hurts? On my tongue. It was awful.
If I eat too much citrus, that happens to my tongue and all inside of my mouth.
Oh, this was a Hot Pocket that was roughly the temperature of the surface of the sun. And I just now, in fairness,
you must have been incredibly hungry.
This decision was motivated. This decision was motivated by a healthy quantity of a particular beverage of sorts. You over microwave a pie. I think it's happened to all of us. But this one, in a sports talk radio role,
even sober people have done that.
Correct.
Because it's Hot Pocket.
Correct. So that's the weirdest reason that I can recall that I've ever had to call in. I had a blister the size of a penny on the end of my tongue and like swallowing the spit that you naturally create hurt. I could eating when it was, I didn't do anything but drink water for 2 days, and drinking was more like tilt head backwards, pour bottled water in the mouth and do that weird thing where you try to like swallow without closing your mouth. Oh, it was rough. It was rough. So that's the weirdest reason I've had to miss work. Texas Rangers left-hander Patrick Corbin picked up his first win of the season on Wednesday night. Corbin was able to go 5.5 innings in a 3-1 win over the Angels. Rangers manager Bruce Bochy, after the game, said that it was 50-50 whether or not Patrick Corbin was going to be available leading up to the game. They didn't know up until game time if Corbin was going to be able to go or if they were going to have to make either an early start and jump ahead one guy in the rotation, or throw an unscripted, impromptu bullpen game because they didn't have an arm available. Corbin called the Rangers in the morning to say, I'm coming in, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. And they said, why? Well, at some point the night before, something bit Patrick Corbin on the ankle. Something venomous bit Patrick Corbin on the ankle. Apparently, his ankle got very swollen. It was the whole thing where you could like see the veins in it. Corbin said, my wife was really concerned. She made me come in early Wednesday to get some treatment, and we went from there. Corbin said he still felt soreness in the ankle Thursday morning, but was confident at that point he would not need to miss time. He said, quote, I was fortunate to get through yesterday. I have some time to recover and be good to go. The two-time All-Star entering his 13th season is on a 1-year deal with the Rangers and nearly missed the start.
Where does he live?
Well, he pitches for the Texas Rangers.
Okay, so Texas. So probably a Scorpion? I don't know.
He does not know. He said that there was an apparent bite on his foot that he, quote, still don't know what it was, end quote. Said, I've never had anything like that. It was super weird. He said that the ankle was sore. He paid attention to it. He woke up on Wednesday. When he woke up on Wednesday, it was obvious something had bit him. The ankle was all swollen up around the spot of the bite of whatever it was that bit him. He had no idea what it was and basically had to go into the Rangers and be like, yeah, here's my Something bite.
I
Here's
think,
my something bite.
I think it was last year when I got bit or something on my leg, and I just had a hole in my leg, and I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
There's still a scar about the size of a penny. I just woke up with a wound in my leg, and it looked like a snake bite. And I don't think there was a snake in my bed. There could have been, but again, we live in the woods. They didn't know what it was when I went and got it treated, and they just gave me some salve or something to wipe on it. But you can get bit and not know you're bit, like in your sleep and stuff. You know,
Apparently so. It's you and Patrick Corbin.
Or you think you bumped the wall when you're walking through the room and not realize something has reached out and caught you.
Something got Patrick Corbin that he, according to or up to yesterday, still does not know what it is. The ESPN article says, quote, Corbin and the Rangers believe the culprit was venom from an apparent bite on his foot 2 days before his start that made it difficult to walk. Corbin said, quote, they said something bit me, but I still don't know what it was. I've never had anything like that happen. It was super weird, which I think is the best way to define it. Super weird. So far, I have not had the unfortunate interaction of waking up to a bite from something. But I'm glad to know I'm in good company now. Lonzo, multi-time all-star Patrick Corbin.
Yeah, I would not recommend it because it's like you wake up and go, why is my leg hurt? And you look down and there's like a wound. It's like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah. To look
so you
down.
Immediately turn the lights on and tell someone, sorry, I got to look through the bed.
Where's the thing? Whatever it was that got Patrick Corbin, he apparently did not know that it happened or when it happened until after it happened. He did not know what it was, what got him, when it got him, how it got him. He just knew that he woke up on Wednesday, his foot was all swollen up, and when he took it to the team, they were like, something bit you. That's a Forrest Gump reference.
I don't know that trainers are equipped to figure out what bit somebody.
I mean, I don't either. Here's what I do know. What I do know is if I'm an MLB player, I am 1,000%, no matter what, always go into the training staff first because of
you don't have to pay for it. So
I don't have to pay for it, A. And also, B, if something ends up getting put in, on, or around my body that causes me to miss time because it's labeled a PED and this part's not a joke, I want to be able to say, I haven't seen a doctor except for the team doctor. So if it's on, it's from the team doctor. I would always go to them first, except if I got bit by something venomous and didn't know what it was. Sorry, guys, I'm going real doctor because while I do not want to be suspended 80 games like Atlanta Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar, I also don't want, and I don't know what the scientific term is, but my foot to fall off is kind of my game plan there. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, let's talk some basketball. The Memphis Grizzlies are playing in an elimination game tonight, and they may have to do it without Ja Morant. Uh-oh. Talk about that and a whole lot more. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. You know what, Brian? You say you use inner ear when you do your stream. I have come close to, and this might be my impetus to do so. Deck uses a set of Bose in-ear studio monitor headsets for his show, and I've asked him about them, and he said he absolutely loves them.
Well, the question is, I mean, how do they plug in? Are they wireless?
Mm-hmm. No. So they're this.
Okay.
But the cord is that it's music studio quality. It's like that almost like clear plastic looking style tubing.
I can only use that stuff for little bits at a time because I have cauliflower ear in one of my ears from wrestling. And it's not the big, oh my gosh, their ear's going to explode. It's just that little part that sticks up right here, this part,
Yeah.
that's and it's in this ear right
Well,
here, and it's just hard,
so-
and so it makes the hole smaller because of that piece is because that piece is cauliflower. So
The ones he used that he showed me, he has, so like the ones I've always used have the big outer plastic piece that's kind of like a shield,
Mhm.
and then the bud that goes in. Deck uses a pair that they're almost shaped like Apple earbuds, but the little rubber piece that actually goes into the hole in your ear is moldable. So like you heat it up, just like your old football mouth guard, you heat it up a little bit and then you put it in there and then it molds to your
so
ear.
almost like in-ear monitors that
They're like music.
music uses. Yeah. So when I do yard work, I got some wraparound sports earbuds from Odyssey. But one of them will stay in, the other one will just come out. So, but it still will hang on my ear because of it wrapping around your ear.
Jacob Texas Show said there's only room in Lonzo's bed for one snake, and he puts a jock strap on it before he goes to work.
Okay.
All right, Sweetwater has a pair of Shure SE215 sound isolating in-ear studio monitors for $100.
That's cheap.
Here's the other option,
I guess.
and this I have considered a couple of times, is to get a pair that come with a wireless pack that comes with a transmitter. So you plug the transmitter into this, and then it broadcasts the sound to a pack. But I wonder how good the sound quality is between.
I also wonder with all the stuff around here if anything will interfere with that.
Because like if I could do that,
Our
strap
Wi-Fi
a
don't
pack
work
on-
half the time. You think that's going to be? I mean, that would be a
this is
concern.
this is just a radio signal. But I also wonder with 9 radio stations working around me.
Don't worry, I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing. Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door, Dr. Clark's business is heating up. So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them? They need to hire a scheduler. Stat. I need Indeed. Indeed, you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier.
The other thing is, with as much as you move around, I think you have to have moldable because you'll just pull it out of one of your ears.
Well, so the in-ear, obviously it has 2 wires, so you can take one out and leave one in. And then with the wireless pack, it literally would just clip onto the belt, and then I could walk around the whole studio with it. Yes, so I know what I'm doing now.
Except no microphone, but unless you want to go headless mic, handless mic, not headless mic, which would still be kind of fun. But
All right, bleep it. It's Friday. What's the weirdest reason you've ever missed work? Armada. What's the reason you miss work that when you called the boss and you were like, hey, I'm out today, and here's why, you knew it was going to be a problem. You knew it was going to be an awkward conversation. When you called and you said, hey, here's this thing that just happened to me, and so I'm out today. What is the weirdest reason you've ever missed work? You can shoot your text to 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. I was, during the break, looking at Reddit because somebody put up a composite of different reasons. There were a couple of different ones that were in there. One guy claimed that for a office job that he worked for, he couldn't go in because he climbed out of his car, walked to his house, and as he went to unlock the door, a squirrel fell through the roof of the overhang over his front door, fell down, landed on his hand, bit the bleep out of him, and then ran off into the woods. And so he basically had to spend his claim on the internet, had to spend a couple of hours in the hospital making sure he didn't have rabies, and then When he woke up the next day, the hand was all swollen, and he's like, I can't type. I can't. It was dominant hand. I can't come in. I can't type. I can't do anything. And apparently his boss was like, that's the best you're going to come up with? He goes, so I had to drive to work and be like, look, dude, look. My hand is
also that something like that you can check. There's hospital records. I mean,
One lady said that her boss didn't believe her. She called and claimed that she was on a work trip and called out of the conference she was going to because the hotel that she was in was haunted. And she was hearing strange disembodied noises and voices throughout the evening that prevented her from sleeping. And so once the sun came up, she had to catch up on her sleep. That's why she couldn't come in. My immediate response was, ma'am, I feel like the only spirits that kept you awake last night came in a glass bottle.
So you don't believe in haunting or just strange noises, or, I've seen enough movies and shows where people claim something's haunted, but they're actually, using projectors and sound vibrations and stuff to keep people awake.
If any hotel's doing that, that's like one thing. But no, I'm not accepting ghost as your reason for not showing up the next day. Lie to me. Tell me that you're on the pooper. Tell me something that I can go, yeah, that's a real thing that happens to real people. So yeah, you're good. You're good. One lady wrote in that the night before in her sleep, she had a dream that she showed up to work and got fired. And so in order to not get fired, she didn't show up to work. She's like, my dream can't come true if I'm not at work. You know what happened after that?
She got fired remotely?
Yeah, she didn't show up to work, so she got fired. And then she got real mad. She's like, this is why dreams manifest themselves. Lady, if you'd have gone to work, you'd have been fine.
Maybe.
So what is the weirdest reason that you have had to miss work that you can recall? Shoot us a text, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663 is that number. One guy said, my boss didn't believe me. I was having breakfast trying to log in early to work. And I spilled syrup on my keyboard and I could not log in. So I had to call my boss and go, hey, he's working remote. I had to call my boss and go, I spilled a half a bottle of Aunt Jemima on my keyboard. I'm out, boss. Can't log in. One lady said that my psychic told me that I shouldn't leave the house that day or something bad would happen. People. My favorite story on this entire thread, though, is the guy who said, I woke up, forgot it was a work day, and went back to sleep. What? How'd you think? You had an alarm set. What are we doing here? All right, so what's the weirdest reason you had to miss work? Let's get to some other sports stories here, shall we? Ja Morant, looks like Ja Morant may, capital M, possible, not for sure yet. Ja Morant may be out for the Grizzlies tonight as they get set for an elimination game in the play-in tournament. Sat out practice yesterday for the Grizz as they get set to take on the Mavs tonight to determine who becomes the 8th seed in the West. Morant injured his right ankle in the play-in loss to Golden State, stepped on Buddy Hield's foot, and was fouled by Quentin Post with 4:25 left in the third quarter. He did limp off of the court, got up, finished a 3-point play. Morant then went to the bench nursing the ankle, returned early in the fourth quarter, and finished the game with 22 points. Shams reported yesterday that Morant had experienced, quote, significant swelling in the ankle, end quote, and has been undergoing around-the-clock treatment since the injury. Memphis interim coach Tuomas Ayasolo said, quote, my feel with him is he'll do absolutely everything in order to play. If he's physically able to do it, he will do it. He's a legitimate game-time decision, end quote. Look, I don't really have a hot take here. If Ja Morant doesn't play, congrats to the Dallas Mavericks for making the 8th spot and the right to get swept by the Thunder. That's really it. That's all I got for you. Congrats on the 8th seed and earning the right to go one and done in a sweep. That's a bummer for the Grizz. That's really all there is to it, man. Like there's not much more to throw into that spot. Ja Morant got an ankle injury. We saw it. It was legitimate. Ja Morant, who has taken his fair share of criticism. By the way, I saw a clip yesterday. Chris Carter was talking about the Ja Morant thing. And I found it really compelling. I'll see if I can find that sound. I was at the SC Football Hall of Fame last night when it got sent to me. So I think I may have it saved somewhere. But Ja Morant, Chris Carter, Minnesota Vikings legendary wide receiver Chris Carter was talking about it. And he made a philosophical point that I thought was great. He said there's being a rebel for a cause, being a rebel without a cause. Being a rebel without a cause in a situation like this is not a great idea. And he phrased it in a way that I thought was absolutely hilarious. He said, you're a kid that grew up in South Carolina playing basketball. What the hell do you know about hand grenades? He said, you're being rebellious just for the sake of it, and it's going to end up costing you tens of millions of dollars. Like, why? You're rebelling. Why? What's the point? Are you protesting something? Do you have a point? Or are you just kind of being a rebel for the sake of being a rebel? And don't get me wrong, there are some people that are James Dean style, a rebel without a cause, a rebel just to rebel. And I mean, like, live your life. But I just kind of look at it, and you'll notice in the conversations we've had about Ja Morant. Look, I'll tell you the reason that people are upset. I'll tell you the reason that people are upset. The reason people are upset is because of stuff like what happened at Florida State University yesterday. That's why people are upset about it. That's why people are saying, why are we glorifying that? Why are we doing this? That's why people say it. Again, I'm not taking a side on that one way or the other. I'm not taking a philosophical stance on it. I'm simply pointing out that the people that are upset about it, that is why they are upset about it. Stuff like that. And so Chris Carter's point was, you're rebelling. Why? You're making a show. Why? You're making it about you. Why? And I'm not a shut up and play the game guy, for the record, in either direction. I'm not a shut up and play the game guy. Athletes are people too. They have every right to hold an opinion, hold a belief, and express that opinion in their belief. I got no problem with it. But it's kind of like, dude, all right, you're costing yourself. You're costing yourself. End of sentence. You're costing yourself, A. And B, it kind of feels like you're bringing unnecessary, unwarranted, unjustified, and ungood attention to the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Like with everything the Grizz have going on this year. Firing their head coach, going to a play-in elimination game against the Mavs, a game that if Ja Morant being unhealthy, completely disconnected from what we're talking about, but if Ja Morant's unhealthy, they're getting bounced without getting in. Like, you're bringing unnecessary attention onto your ball club, and I guess I would just ask the question, as Chris Carter did, and I think it was fair to do it, for what purpose? What are you accomplishing? What is the point of this? And I think it's a very fair question to ask about Ja Morant. So I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it's gonna. Obviously, none of this is gonna have any impact on the game tonight.
Take them aside and say, here are the safe things that you can do when you celebrate.
I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think that I need to explain to Ja Morant why doing what he's been doing brings unnecessary and unwarranted negative attention on him. And I don't think that I need to explain safe, I don't want to say safe celebration because that sounds like such a pansy way to say it, but socially acceptable sellies that are not going to bring negative attention to the franchise.
You say you don't think you need to, but obviously someone does. So I'm just curious about what a safe celebration for him would be. What's something he could get away that's still aggressive, but not aggressive in an offensive way? What's the best thing he can do?
Throw punches, hit a roundhouse kick, do a backflip. This is
You can't do that in football. Well, you could do the backflip, but you can't. No, actually, I don't know that you can do a backflip. And if you throw punches, if you're looking at the person, you can't do. But if you're looking at the crowd, you can do it. In his case, he's like, I don't know. I don't know what's safe. I mean, maybe the best thing is to just not celebrate at all. Just keep your excitement down and use it for the next play. I don't know.
I don't think it's all that dramatic, man. Like, I don't think it's all that dramatic. Again, and Kane's in the chat. And again, I've pointed out a couple times, I'm a gun owner. I'm a gun enthusiast. Every time I go down to Florida, I go shooting with my brother and his brother-in-law. We go out to a range. We bring our firearms out. We bring our rifles out, our shotguns out. We go shooting. I'm a gun enthusiast. But to me, there is a responsible way to talk about that and a responsible way to have that conversation. And Kane said, I've only been seeing people make jokes about it. I haven't seen anybody upset about it except those of us except when we're on the radio. All right, Kane, I have. And again, I'm saying that. Here's the reality about life. You and I'm going to guess here, probably belong to very different social circles in terms of attitudes and beliefs about this conversation, right? I know people who have complete belief that there should be absolutely no rules, restrictions, regulations on firearms. None. There just shouldn't be a thing, right? And I know people who...
Should there be rules and regulations on firearm celebrations? Pseudo, fake firearm
but again,
celebration.
This is a case that is unique to Ja Morant. This is a case that is unique to Ja Morant.
It's not, though. I mean...
What do you mean it's not?
All right.
Okay, quick. Name me the other NBA player caught on an Instagram Live waving a piece around.
Okay.
Name me the other one that this is not unique.
I'm talking about the celebration.
The celebration is a conversation.
A bunch of other athletes have been arrested for possession of firearms. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. And if Plaxico Burress scored a tutty and then went out there and started firing guns, I go, not your best look.
If he had never been caught doing that in the car and he's just doing that celebration, would you have a problem with it?
No. No.
Well, apparently the league does. So it doesn't matter whether he did that or not.
This isn't about the league. This isn't about the league. This is just about Ja Morant and what's best for his career.
So the league's not doing anything. I thought he got fined.
He did get fined.
Okay. So
he's going to catch it.
So it is about the league.
He went to – no. This is about my opinion on Ja Morant's success as a player and a career guy, right? In my opinion on the law, I want.
So he'll never get better as a player if he keeps doing this.
No, he will never reach what I think Ja Morant is capable of as both a player and an ambassador to the game.
Some people don't want to be an ambassador. They just want to go do their job. They just want to play ball.
I don't disagree. And if he wants to come out and go, hey, Rob Brown and everyone like him, I don't give a what you think about me, then okay, I'm going to go, okay, dog. It's your tens of millions of dollars over the lifetime of your career to lose. It's yours. But for me, as a lover of basketball and as an NBA lover, somebody who wants this league to be good, the league needs stars. It is you yourself said this week, it's a star-driven league. You're not tuning in for teams. You're tuning in for stars.
But there are different kinds of stars, and there are stars that that certain sects of society are more apt to cheer for. There are some that everyone loves, and there are some only certain people love. That's just how that goes.
Does the NBA not benefit for having more guys that everybody loves? Does the NBA not benefit when they have more guys?
Does that individual care?
Again, I'm not saying he does or needs to or have to. What I'm saying is...
But you're saying he should.
Yes.
But
I'm saying
who are you to say he should be that guy?
The same as I am when I say Aaron Rodgers, shut your dumb mouth and play football. Because you've got the opportunity. If you will stop with the drama, you would be on a team right now. Right? Like, this is what's best for him. So I don't know. We'll see. I want this is sure. I'll go so far as to say this is selfish out of me because I want the NBA to be great. And I know it's a star-driven league and Ja Morant should be an absolute top-notch marquee superstar, but the league can't and won't promote him that way. The Grizz can't and won't promote him that way. And a large chunk of America can't and won't accept him that way. And again, if he doesn't care about any of that, that's his decision. But it would be a huge benefit to the league if he was. And so selfishly, this is a spot where I go, bro, put the league above yourself. Don't we say that about football guys all the time? Put the team above yourself. How many of y'all in NIL discussions about college players have said, these guys need to put the team ahead of themselves? But now when I say, John Morant, put the team ahead of yourself, now all of a sudden, that's not how we feel about it anymore.
He's not hurting them on the court. He's not.
Correct. So, that's not what I'm talking about.
Maybe they put better players around them and they'll win.
Not what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
This is an image thing exclusively.
You said helping the team. Helping the team is winning.
Do you think that the amount of negative tension heaped on the Grizz, it's got no impact at all? Just negative attention cannot influence a team. Because I don't.
I've only really heard about it here. So, but again, that's a small circle.
Correct. So. That is absolutely correct. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got the water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports. And in the next hour of the show, I don't care. We're celebrating Lee Corso because that's my dog. All of that after, I was going to say the Lee Corso of sports flashes, Lonzo, but he doesn't wear headgear. So I don't know if that works. Sports flash.
I have been here a really long time. Yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers said the team had him fly on his own dime to a meeting in order to cut him within minutes. Rodgers also said he's had conversations with Steelers, Giants, and Vikings during his free agency, but said he is prioritizing his personal life and has no rush to make a decision about his future. In the final game of the regular season, Carolina Hurricanes ended with a roster of reserves taking a 7-5 loss to the Senators. Skylar Brindamore, the son of head coach Rod Brindamore, scored his first NHL goal. Capitals forward Alex Ovechkin capped his record-breaking season with a career goal, 897, and a 5-2 loss to Pittsburgh yesterday. The Capitals are number 1 overall seed in the East heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is next right here on the Fan Upstate. Water cooler cheat sheet coming up. That's why I spend a lot of time by myself, because unfortunately I just make a lot of people angry. It's a natural ability, talent, even, or weakness. I don't know. Could be all those things at once. It's possible.
Universal's putting in a Star Trek
I was
ride?
going to ask why you watching Star Trek. I heard the Next Generation theme.
They got a young influencer who is very well endowed and wearing the tightest corset I've ever seen to show it off.
Is she wearing red?
Yes.
Okay. That's a red shirt, sort of. It's a part of one.
They're not killing that particular character off on episode 1. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our numero dos. So the Rob Brown Show starts now. The Friday. Gotta
Wonderful.
get down on Friday edition of the show. Starts right now. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are glad to have you here on the radio program, which you can be a part of on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line at 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. That is the number to text the show. That is the number to call the show, should you want to be a part of it. You can tweet the great one at Lonzo Onward. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. That is also my Instagram handle if you want to follow me there. Twitter, Instagram, and The Rob Brown Show, all at The Rob Brown Show. You can also email me, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. As James did earlier this week. And have you seen, Zoe, have you seen ice football yet?
Played in some ice football, but no, I haven't seen it.
No. This is football on a hockey rink. Ice football.
Full contact tackle football?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, why?
Why? I believe those people are going to ask you the question, Lonzo.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
In fact, I am going to just for the lulls. I'm gonna put it up on the stream real quick and get Lonzo's Insta reaction to a play or two of ice football. This is the West Side Wessies versus the Eastie Boys in the RTL American Ice Football League. It is a hockey rink with the lines and hash marks of a football field on it.
Yeah, but they're wearing hockey gear. They're not. It doesn't look like they're wearing football gear.
I mean, hockey gear and football gear, if we're keeping a buck, it's the same thing.
Hockey gear, the pads are smaller.
Sure,
Yeah.
but not then like wide receiver pads per se. It is arena football. Look at my dude over there on the back, on the right. The defense. I didn't put it up. I didn't actually put it up on the
you
screen.
Did. I'm just watching the little screen. No
Here.
one else.
Hier ist jetzt Osten gegen Westen und das ist American Ice Football. Das ist eine ganz andere Nummer. Da kannst du
Playing a little ice football. Watch my DB up in the top right corner trying to get to his position. Not going great.
What kind of shoes are we wearing?
I believe they're just wearing like sneakers. Oh, dude, just a header onto the ice. I mean, he's got a helmet on. That's still not comfortable. Incomplete pass on, I'm assuming, first down. You got to make that catch, right? They are wearing hockey gloves.
First of all, high quality pass there. I mean,
they hit him in the hands.
I mean, come on.
I don't care that you're quite literally standing on a patch of slippery
Yeah,
ice.
but you're also inside. You don't throw a duck like that. I mean, it's just, I got to blame that on the quarterback.
How do you establish your base and throw off your back foot when if you put weight on?
Have you seen guys throw 80 yards just standing there? I've seen that.
Ice!
I know.
And so that you know, because there is a difference, just so we're clear, as somebody who
this is just to justify you
it's not because of that.
Yeah.
There is absolutely a difference between freshly Zamboni'd ice and ice that actually is like at the end of a period, right? Once it's been skated on, it's all chopped up, there's all the grooves in it from the skates, it becomes a lot more frictional. The ice right after the Zam comes off is perfectly smooth. And that's where it gets slippery. Hence the boys struggling out there.
Yeah, the slow-mo high stepping because you have to, so you don't kill yourself. I gotta see this. The kicking. Yep, that's kind of what I expected.
That's terrible, Van Denta Diver.
Yeah, you got a good kicker name, but you can't. I mean, come on.
Now I got to see if we do. Kickoffs. No, I guess we just alternate possessions. No kickoffs in this one. Probably trying to limit concussions, if I had to guess, as they play ice football.
Yeah, because, otherwise it wouldn't occur on that surface.
All right, here come the West Side Westies. Quarterback in the pocket, good blocking, got a very slow pass rush going, throws to the outside, but shockingly, the receiver and the DB both fall.
All right, I'm just guessing that they've been told you can't block, because they're hand fighting. They're just
no,
put them up.
I'm telling you right now, if I can get hands on you and establish hands on you, you're going down. You're going down on freshly Zamboni dice.
None of them went down, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because they're not going to let you get a grasp. I'm not going to sit here. I can't full bull run. I can't throw a swim move on you on ice. I'm going face first. Now I'm an ineffective pass rusher. You got to hand fight and hope you can throw that guy off balance.
Well, maybe cheat a little bit and throw some blades on the bottom of your shoes. I'm just saying, and
not how this works.
Dig in a little bit.
Now I have to do the water cooler cheat sheet. Oh, the West Side Westie's going back for a touchdown the other way unless the guy fell down before he got to the goal line. Unguarded. Ate it. Beautiful. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:06 in the morning. If you want to Google American ice football, please do, and tell me it doesn't make your morning. You got to know what's going on in the world of sports, because as you're headed into the office this AM, at some point you're going to take that first break of the day. You're going to walk outside. It's going to be a glorious day here in the upstate, and you're going to avoid the rest of your responsibilities for the rest of the day so that you can talk sports. You got to know what's going on in the world of sports, which is why we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers say, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. No. Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers. When you do, this is what you'll be talking about. Let's jump into item number 1. Aaron Rodgers yesterday spent a good chunk of time on the Pat McAfee show and addressed the ongoing conversations around his future in the NFL. He did not rule out playing. He did not rule out retirement. He said basically that he's got a lot going on in his personal life right now that he needs to address. He's got a lot going on in his personal life that he needs to get settled before he makes a decision. And while I absolutely believe that is a possibility, I also think he's done enough and been involved in enough right now that teams kind of just don't want to deal with it. The Minnesota Vikings said, nah, he did confirm that he had a conversation with them. They're going with J.J. McCarthy. The New York Giants said, no, did have a conversation with him. They ended up going with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston over Aaron Rodgers. And he did have a conversation with the New York Jets. Now, on the side of the story that I am with Aaron Rodgers, apparently the Jets asked him to fly to New York from California. He did so, according to Aaron Rodgers, on his own dime, only to show up and start what he thought was going to be a meeting about a possible return to the Jets that instead ended with new head coach Aaron Glenn cutting him within 10 minutes of the beginning of the meeting. Rodgers told McAfee that they said, do you want to play football? He said yes. And Glenn immediately responded with, okay, well, we're going in a different direction at the quarterback position. This is, of course, before they signed Justin Fields to come over from Pittsburgh to be their QB1 going into next year. He did tell McAfee that it is not about the money, that he has not been asking for the $41 million that he is reportedly being asking for. No. He said, I've been telling teams I'll play for $10 million if I decide when I want to play. I guess the whole thing that was interesting about this is like, on one hand, he said, yeah, I've been having conversations. I want to come back. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to come back. I'm having personal stuff. I got a personal life. And that's absolutely realistic. And if that is true, that is absolutely understandable. This also just feels to me like Aaron Rodgers is trying to take the narrative back about himself, which, again, that's PR 101. Have at. Good job. That is what you want to do. I think at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers just wore out his welcome. That's what it feels like to me. That entire conversation is available on ESPN's website if you want to go listen to what McAfee and Rogers talked about yesterday. Let's go to item number 2. 2 NBA stories to discuss. One that involves a play-in game tonight, one that involves a play-off game this weekend. As far as tonight's game goes, the Memphis Grizzlies getting set to take on the Dallas Mavericks, and they may have to do it without Ja Morant. Shams reported yesterday that Morant has experienced significant swelling in his ankle after a ankle injury sustained in the loss to the Golden State Warriors in the 7-8 playoff game or play-in game. In the third quarter, he stepped on Buddy Field's foot, was fouled by Quentin Post, went to the ground, limped off the court, did return to knock down his free throw. He then went to the bench nursing the ankle, came back in the fourth quarter, finished with 22 points, but has sat out of practice since then, has swelling around the ankle, has been undergoing, according to Shams, 24/7 treatment. Ever since then, Memphis said that they believe Ja Morant will do everything in his power to be able to play against Dallas tonight, but he is a game-time decision. The other story that is very interesting, Milwaukee Bucks star Damian Lillard has been cleared of his deep vein thrombosis and is no longer on blood-thinning medication, according to the Milwaukee Bucks. There was thoughts that if the Bucks made the playoffs, Dame time might be available to return to the court for Milwaukee, but the Bucks did not disclose a timeline for Lillard's return yesterday, saying the veteran guard will, quote, continue to increase his on-court basketball activity. We do know that Lillard will not play tomorrow in game 1 of the Bucks playoff series against the Pacers, according to ESPN. So we may yet see the return of Damian Lillard. And if Dame time makes his way back for the Bucks, that's an interesting series all of a sudden, at least a little bit more interesting than it is. And finally, let's get to item number 3. We're going to talk about this a little bit more because I think the man has earned it. But yesterday announced that Lee Corso will retire from ESPN's College Game Day on week 1, August 30th, ending a career with the show that began in 1987. Corso said in a statement released by ESPN, quote, my family and I will forever be indebted for the opportunity to be a part of ESPN and College Game Day for nearly 40 years. I have a treasure of many friends, fond memories, and some unusual experiences to take with me into retirement. Corso, when he steps away August 30th, will be 90 years old. Turns 90 on August 7th. August 30th will be his last day on College Game Day. So over the next handful of minutes, we're going to talk about some of those great Lee Corso moments. We're going to talk a little bit about the 38-year career. I was 2 when Lee Corso made his debut on College Game Day. I am currently 40 years old. Lee Corso has been an absolute legend on that show, and we will pay tribute and homage to Lee Corso as the show progresses. So there you have it. There's your water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know this lovely Friday. Got to get down on Friday morning. Let's take that break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Lee Corso. Let's talk a little bit about one of, if not the most famous, infamous, random, over the top, yet, in my ever so humble opinion, lovable talking heads in the history of the game. We'll do that when we come back. Rob Brown, the Great One, Lonzo, and you. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I left my beverage in the other room.
We'll be right back. I gotta go over there.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Yesterday, Lee Corso announced that he will be stepping away, retiring from College Game Day, a show he has been an active participant on since 1987. I was 2 when that happened. I turned 40 in February. Lee Corso.
That would have been 18. 18.
And yet, still a very long time ago.
1987, when he debuted, I had a cast for 9 months because I had just broken my knee.
Lots of fond memories.
Yes.
Lee Corso stepping away from College Game Day. Look, the dude has been not just a part of College Game Day. He was for a very long time. And obviously the last couple of years, really dating back to the COVID year when he was doing his job remote. Obviously, Lee Corso at the time was a robust 79 years old.
A lot of concern about elder abuse and the fact that they were using him as a mascot as he got older, and when he got sick, by a lot of people really worried about why is he still on TV?
I think that it was very evident, with all due respect in the world, that Lee Corso was slowing down, which, yeah, he's in his late 70s.
No, he did.
Sorry. He was in his mid 80s. He turns 90 in August.
I can look up the exact illness, but he did have an illness that was impairing.
Yeah,
him
he's absolutely had some health issues.
to a degree.
Yeah.
And it that wasn't about his age, because we've seen people really old still do a really good job, but it was more about the illness than anything. And but he looked like he was happy, looked like he knew what he was doing for the most part, and he wanted to be there.
Corso was a cat that, as far as I am concerned, earned a lifetime pass. Corso was a cat that earned a lifetime contract. He could keep going as long as he wanted to keep going. It did become evident really last couple of years probably that they were kind of having to guide Lee Corso through the show.
Well, Herb Street specifically.
Yeah, and that is because Kirk Herbstreit has a deep and fond appreciation for Kirk Herbstreit, or for Lee Corso. Probably both.
Yeah, probably.
No, I actually really like Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk has a deep, fond appreciation. When Kirk Herbstreit made his debut on Game Day, Lee Corso was an institution, and Kirk Herbstreit has told the story many times about how Lee Corso took him under the wing and told him how to be a figure on this show in a way that works. Last night, when I got home from the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and I found out that Corso had announced his retirement on August 30th in week 1 of the college football season this year, I went to YouTube because I was going to pull some great Lee Corso moments, including one of my, if not my favorite ESPN moment of all time, the time when Lee Corso screamed, it, live on ESPN, and I thought Kirk Herbstreit was going to fall off his chair. Phenomenal moment. Well, there is a 1.5 hour doc on YouTube on the ESPN channel dropped about Lee Corso, entitled simply, "Thank You, Corso." And I pulled out of the beginning of it a couple of my favorite moments, a couple of my favorite talks. You are going to hear voices in this, including Kirby Smart, Mike Norvell, multiple producers, etc. from the show, Kirk and Reese themselves, and others. Here is a small snippet from the Thank You, Corso documentary.
The headgear tradition started in 1996 at Ohio State. Herbstreit was fairly new on the show, and Kirk's wife Allison had been an Ohio State cheerleader.
He thought I might have some kind of in to try to get Brutus's headgear.
They had to do some very high-level, tense negotiations.
I'm telling you, it took 3 or 4 different back and forths until finally they green-lighted Brutus.
I tell you one thing.
Let's just examine the Brutus head. It's a head representing a nut, a two-tone nut. So it's ridiculous looking. you can't help but laugh.
Disrespectful.
And when he sensed that was an entertaining moment that resonated with fans across the sport, he embraced it, and it's become a beloved tradition.
Colorado in a big upset.
I remember him as a young kid watching College Game Day, and Lee Corso was on there and putting on the headgear. He is College Game Day.
I feel like I've been watching Lee Corso do that since, I was in high school. The different antics he's used and mascots he's used has been pretty incredible.
Iron rope costume, purple cow.
To this day, I still watch and anticipate to see what he's going to do.
Go Navy, beat Army.
Seeing him fire off the guns is pretty funny.
My favorite one, we were in Texas, and McConaughey starts wrestling the LSU Tiger head off of LC. There was a little trickle of blood.
Katy Perry was incredible. Like, she damn near broke my man's nose, taking the mask I had off of him.
I think that the best one might be the outtakes.
How can you pick against SMU?
Throwing out some words that might needed to be edited.
Lee Corso, to me, and we've had the conversation since the rise of McAfee and the rise of the podcasting world and the rise of, I don't know, I hate the phrase alternative media, but alternative media over the last couple of years. One of the things that has become very evident to me is that we as consumers of sports media over the past handful of years genuinely have gotten to a point where, and I think a lot of us kind of knew this already, but have gotten to a point where we've come to the realization that we really want personality, right? Like it's nice to have somebody who intimately knows ball, but we want personality. I will tell you, earlier this week, we played a couple of clips from me back in 2012 or whatever it was. And if you listen to those clips, you got a very different Rob Brown. There's a very different broadcaster in Rob Brown than you have now, where I am, let's be real, loud, boisterous, obnoxious, and over the top.
JD.
And the reason...
Yeah, there's a lot of words.
a lot of adjectives there. The reason why is because I got to a point that I recognized, number one, doing this job is a heck of a lot more fun when I don't have to consistently and constantly be thinking to myself about the professionalism and character that one must show on TV. Now, I think there's time and a place for that. If you are reporting the news, like the news, I expect professionalism, right? I don't need you injecting any of your own personality into, here's what the Senate voted on today. No. Just tell me what happened. But when it comes to sports are fun. Sports are entertainment. And so, it's more fun to do this gig when I get to come in here and just be Rob Brown. If you meet me out in public and you come up and say hi, which please feel free to, I encourage you to if you ever see me out and about, come say hi. You're going to get this. Loud, boisterous, obnoxious, over the top. It's just who I am, and it's more fun to do the show. But I also found out that people seem to like the show more that way than when I used to come in and say, good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's the Rob Brown Show. Great to have you here on the Fan Upstate. We're going to talk today about the recruiting class that Dabo Sweeney's putting together. He's got 19 recruits coming in for visits this weekend, a composite rating of 3.7 stars. But boring personality. And as much as we have talked about the rise of larger than life personalities, which is why so many athletes are launching successful podcasts, why McAfee is the highest paid sports broadcasting personality in the game, right? Lee Corso, to me, was to some degree the originator of that. Lee Corso was kind of, at least in the college football sphere, certainly, kind of the first guy that just had this big personality when he broadcasted, and that was the origin of the headgear picks. It was the origin of what I think what has become a catchphrase in my own life. Not so fast, my friend. I think any of us who watch game day with any regularity.
That's your conscience telling you, don't do that. Don't do that, Rob.
No, that's what I say to other people.
Okay. All right.
I never talk myself out of every decision because every decision's a good decision.
By the way, earlier in our extensive show meeting before the show, we were talking about.
Which we do every day.
Of course, because, being prepared is the thing that we are. I looked up something that we talked about looking up. His percentage of wins on the headgear, and you said you didn't really want to know. Do you want to know? I'm surprised about. It's more positive than I thought it would be.
70%,
66.59%.
In the gambling world, that's good enough to make you a pro.
Okay, he had 431 picks. He went 287 and 144.
Yeah, that's good enough to make you a pro gambler. Not a great one, but good enough to make you a pro.
And maybe because of bias, and it seemed like a lot of times he picked against whatever team I was rooting for. So for like the very, very first one, I think he actually picked Ohio State more than any other team, I believe.
I believe you are correct. I think there's going to be other factors in there. There's going to be factors that they were.
But the thing about it is, you wait, even in later years before McAfee, when things were not nearly as entertaining for me and I just didn't tune in, I tuned in for the last 10 minutes because I wanted to see what their picks were and wanted to see who he would pick.
Yeah.
It became a staple on Saturdays before whatever game was coming on to see who he would choose.
Over the past couple of years that I've been doing Bet for the Cycle, Saturdays noon to 4 on the BetMGM network, which starts at noon, like at the same time as the college football games do. One of the things that Hayden Ass Mario is our old EP, Double D as our new EP, have had to kind of get used to. Do you know why Cody Decker starts every show? Cody Decker intros the show at noon. There's a reason for that. The reason why is because during college football season, it used to be we alternated. One Saturday, Deck would go with all of the, first segments, and the next one I would. It started to, then the very first football season that we did the show, it actually alternated to to Cody Decker opening every show. And the reason why was because Corso usually makes his headgear pick right at noon straight up. Noon, 12:01, like right in that market when the show's going live. And so the first football season where we were alternating, like week one, because I've got my stream camera over here and my TV at the time was back here to my left, I would open the show, even though we were live on the stream, I'd open the show looking left because I'm watching what Corso's doing. I want to see who he picks as the headgear pick. And in a clip that I'm going to play you in the next segment when we come back here in just a few minutes, there was another element to Lee, which was it was as much about the show as it was talking college football. It was as much about entertainment. It was never it was never about a hot take. It was never about being confrontational. It was never about generating what I call fraudulent conflict, which is where you establish a position or give a take solely to rile up the crowd. That's a wrestling thing, all right? But, yeah, if Lee was going to pick against the home team.
I'm not familiar with that method. You can explain that to me later.
If Lee was going to pick against the home team, he would absolutely make a show out of it. The best things in the world to me were when Lee Corso would pick up a head and the crowd would lose their mind because he was picking up the mascot's head of the home team. And then he would say, it, and throw it and put on a different hat, put on the away team hat or whatever. It was about entertainment. And it is a large part of the reason that I firmly believe this show is going to be better. If you get the Rob Brown that you're going to get at a bar stool at 2 a.m. after a couple of Jack and Diets talking football, as opposed to the guy that comes in and goes, all right, we got Clemson and Boston College this weekend. Boston College comes in averaging 97 rushing yards per game. If Clemson wants to run this game, they're going to have to really rely on the run defense. Boring. I want it to be loud and fun. And it ain't for everybody. And if it ain't for everybody, that's all right. That's okay. But to me, it's more fun that way. And Lee Corso is a chunk of the reason that I believe that to be true. So let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll come back. I got another clip to play for you from that Thank You Corso documentary. And I want your thoughts. What is your favorite Lee Corso memory? What is your favorite Lee Corso story? I've got one from when I met Lee Corso in Tallahassee, Florida, a handful of years ago that I'll share with you. What's your favorite Lee Corso memory, story, whatever the case might be, as we celebrate one of the greatest television talking heads of all time, Coach Lee Corso. We'll continue that conversation next on The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Come on, guys. Quit being mean.
Lee Corso picked Oregon 21 times, Florida 22, LSU 25, Alabama 38, and Ohio State 45.
All those seems pretty good. About time.
All right, guys, give me 30 seconds. We'll be right back and continue that conversation.
We're watching a thing from WWE where you can take a chair and hit a wrestler, and they have it set up as Logan Paul.
A mannequin.
Yeah, the wrestler I would want to hit with the chair the most is Carmelo. I'd want to hit Carmelo. I've never believed his character, so I just would want to hit him. Plus, go Trick Williams.
Oh, now I just got half my headset not working. There we go.
I had it in queue, so that's why your headphones weren't working.
Oh. Leak 4 in a week. Oh,
it's a good week for me.
The Braves are rubbing off on me.
The what is the Braves?
The Braves, you know that baseball team I can't stand?
I thought you said the Braids.
The Braves are rubbing off on me.
I don't hear enunciation today.
Lee Corso stepping away from College Game Day. He's going to do week 1. We'll do one fun. Do we know where? I don't even know. Where is College Game Day week 1? Have they? I wonder if they announced that.
I don't know that they have.
August 30th, he turns 90 years old on August 7th, and then just a handful of days later, he will do his final.
I think you got to look and see if there's actually a good game week 1, because I'm guessing, I mean, for nostalgia reasons, he probably would be at Ohio State.
I would think he would end it at Ohio State. That would be my thought. Let's go look at the August 30th slate. Here's what we got. Here's what we got on the docket. We got Alabama at Florida State. That's got to be on the table. He graduated from Florida State. So to allow him to go out at the alma mater, the old Sunshine Scooter, as he was known back in his playing days, teammates with Burt Reynolds, if you wanted the lulz this morning. That's got to be on the table. LSU is here at Clemson to open up on the 30th. Clemson, by the way, right now, you can already gamble on that game. Clemson minus 2.5 against LSU. That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, over under 56.5, according to ESPN Bet. I would say LSU at Clemson. Alabama at Florida State's on the table. Oh, nope. Texas at Ohio State.
There you go. I mean,
Ohio State minus 3.
Yeah, that's where he's going.
I mean,
where's it at? Is it at Texas?
It's at Ohio State.
Okay, yeah. That just makes the most sense because that's where he did the headgear first.
I would say there's 2 games on the docket that make sense. Number 1 is Alabama at Florida State. Let him go out in the stadium where he played his college football. Or option 2 would be Ohio State. Let's see. Texas says Colin Diesel said yesterday it'll either be Ohio State versus Texas or Clemson versus LSU. It's not going to be Clemson LSU. All right, he's not coming here for that.
I mean, that's just that's just playing to the audience.
They are correct in that there are only 2, but the other one is Alabama at Florida State. He is a Florida Stater. He went there. Now he never made Florida State like part of his personality as a television broadcaster. I mean, obviously, when he was at Florida State, he would talk about it or whatever, but it was never really like a part of the Lee Corso brand being a Florida Stater, which leads me to believe Ohio State. But I would say Alabama, Florida State, or
Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah, Ohio State, Texas in Columbus would be the other one. I'm looking down the rest of the schedule. There's a couple of other interesting games on the docket, but those are the big ones. Those are the ones that it could be. So I think there are 2. Alabama, Florida State, as he is an FSU alum, or Ohio State at the crib taking on Texas. And I'm more likely to say Texas at Ohio State, but we'll find out. However, I played you the first segment there. I want to play you the second clip. And again, this is from the Thank You Corso documentary that is on ESPN's YouTube channel.
I think the best part is when Coach does the okey doke, where he grabs one head, gets ready to put it on, and then he chucks it to the side and grabs the other one.
I'm going with sweet home Alabama.
Anytime I'm watching and you don't know, what he's going to pick up, that's all pretty exciting.
Penn State.
Give him that. Does that mean you're going to go against your first love, Brutus?
Coach Corso is a maestro of the crowd. He can take them on a ride like not many people in the history of television can.
Corso with the duck.
He's always got something ready for the people. And to see him come out as Ben Franklin was just absolutely incredible.
I founded 10. This is my school.
My best moment is when he picked Texas to win the national championship.
Tonight, they shocked the entire universe.
And all the other guys up there were totally against him.
I'm going with Texas Longhorns. Hook up, Texas!
And then we won. And I've praised Coach for that ever since.
There's time with Bill Murray. We're at Death Valley at Florida State. And he comes up, Chief Osceola, and he's dancing. And Bill Murray sees that. And he picked Clemson, and he picks him up.
It's a takedown.
WWE style. It's chaos everywhere.
somebody that tried to copy that would be silly. There's only one person who can do that, Lee Corso.
It's such a legacy, man. It is. And I don't think that last take is incorrect. I have told many a young broadcaster over the years that I have done this, that if you want to get ahead in this game, there are two requirements. The first requirement is do not come into this game with the mentality of, I want to be rich and famous and a great broadcaster, right? It's not about you. Never has been. If you're in front of a mic, if you're in front of a camera, it is about the people that are watching it or that are listening to it. This show has never been. I'll pull the curtain back and just be Rob Brown with you for a second.
No, you can't do that.
Metaphorical curtain. And be Rob Brown with you for just a second. All the times I come in here and pat myself on the back and say I know ball and all that, like I'm just having a good time, okay? As I've said to Lon so many times, and it's the most sincere thing I'll say, I don't believe in myself all that much. I significantly lack self-confidence. It's been a problem my entire life. To me, it's just about having fun because I want to have fun. And the reason I want to have fun is because I believe if I am having fun, it's more likely that you're going to have fun. And at the end of the day, this show is not about me. And it's not about Zoe. And it's not about the radio station. It's about you. This is why once or twice a week, I ask you the question, what do y'all want to get to? What do you want to talk about? This is why I insist that we have a text line. Why I insist that I do not, just so we're clear, I don't want to be on Twitter anymore. I'm not having a good time. However,
stinking globalists.
I'm not having a good time on Twitter. But I do want to keep it a buck with you guys. I keep Twitter for the show. I keep Twitter for you. I don't want to be on Facebook anymore. But I keep it open for the show, for you. I don't want to be on Instagram anymore. But I keep it open for the show, for you. Because to me, that constant back and forth interaction, to me, is what makes this show stand out. I've never claimed to be the most interactive show. I've never claimed to be blah, 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 blah. I don't feel like I need to. It's as much your show as it is mine. And the show only works if it's about y'all. Yeah, I talk a big game and we have fun, whatever. The show is about y'all. It always has been. And to me, Corso doing all those Corso things, like when he showed up at Penn, Penn dressed as Ben Franklin and did a whole show reading edicts as one of the nation's founding fathers. Incredible. The headgear picks were never about Lee Corso. They were about the people he was doing them in front of. Whether he was picking the away team and riling up the fan base or picking the home team and getting them crazy. It's great. I believe that the great broadcasters, it's not about them. It's about the people that are watching or listening to them. And the second thing that I tell every young broadcaster that I speak to that is trying to break into this game, whether it's a kid getting his podcast off the ground, recording it into an Xbox headset plugged into a computer, or I'm speaking to freshman broadcasting classes. I tell every one of them, if you're reporting the news, report the news. But if you are not reporting the news, if you are broadcasting, be you, man. Be you, have a good time, be yourself. Because fraudulent personality is obvious. Fraudulent personality is obvious. Whether you are being a hot take artist, and while there are big-time hot take artists that ultimately get paid, you know exactly who I'm talking about. In my opinion and my experience, the overwhelming majority of people who fraudulently craft, create, and give hot takes, they don't get anywhere because we gravitate towards people who are genuine. I met Lee Corso early in my broadcasting career Game day was at a Florida State game in Tallahassee. And I met Lee Corso at that game. I got an opportunity to head on over earlier. I knew a friend from college who was working for ESPN. And he got me behind the scenes at College Game Day. And I had nothing like fancy, but just I got to go to the set a few minutes before the show started, and I got to meet Kirk and Corso and all these guys. And obviously Corso was in rare form because, again, he's a Florida State guy. And so before the game started, I got to meet Lee Corso. I brought a book to get him to sign because I've just always been a Corso guy. And I walked up and I asked him to sign the book. And he sat there and this was 12 minutes before game day started. He sat there while the rest of the fellas were going up on the stage and they were going through their last bit of the production meeting and all that. And after I asked him to sign the book, I said, "Oh, could I get you on my radio show one day? I'll do a radio show over in Destin, Florida." And Lee Corso was kind enough to say yes, and he put me in touch with his agent, and he said, "How long have you been doing this?" And I think at that point, I'd only been in like a year and a half. I'd only been hosting my show for a couple of months at that point. And he said, "Free advice, kid. Have a good time." And at the time, I was like, that's it? That's it. That's what you're free advice. Have a good time. I don't want to say I took it personally because I love Lee Corso, but it was kind of one of those spots where it's like, dude, just say have a nice day, right? Free advice, kid. Have a good time. It was just the weirdest thing. And it took me a little while to get it. It took me a little while to understand what I meant, but I finally figured it out like, I don't know, a year and a half in, because at that time I was hosting what was a continuation of a previous guy's show. It was an only SEC college football, not SEC sports, just SEC college football show. That was it. 365 days a year. It was SEC college football. And I was not having a good time. I didn't enjoy it. I did it, but I didn't enjoy it. So a handful of years later, I was talking to my boss, and the guy who I stepped into the show to effectively long-term fill in for him, we came to the realization he wasn't coming back for a long time, maybe ever. And I went to the boss and I was like, please let me do the show differently. And he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let this show be done differently because this show has been on the air for a very long time. It's been very successful. But here's what I am going to do. I'm going to give you the show after that. That show ended at 7. I'm going to give you a show from, I think my first show was 7 to 10 p.m. Said, I'm going to give you a show 7 to 10 p.m. And I want you to do your show, whatever you want to do, 7 to 10 p.m. I want you to do that show however you think is best. And I want you to show me that show would work here. And if you show me in a 7 to 10 slot that show will work here, I will move you up into 4 to 7 or the afternoon drive. And I said, bet, done. So I went to 7 to 10, and this was probably a year and a half after I met Lee Corso. And I started that show. And the first couple of days of that show were just an extension to the previous show, except instead of only talking SEC college football, we talked all the sports, talked NBA, talked NFL, talked baseball, whatever. But I talked about it the same way. So that guy would come in, and he had a thick Mississippi accent. We lived on the Gulf of Mexico. He'd come in and he'd say, all right, Alabama, they made an announcement today that they're changing the shade of cream on their helmets. They're going to drop it by 2 shades, y'all. Let's do 1 hour on that. This is Southern Sports Tonight. That was the name of the show, Southern Sports Tonight. And I came in, and my afternoon show, my evening show, which I affectionately entitled Rob After Dark, because it was the whole concept was, for sure. It was Rob After Dark. And I came in the first couple of weeks of that show, it was very, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Rob Brown. It's Rob After Dark. We got New Orleans Saints taking on the Tennessee Titans this week. Tennessee's coming in, and that was it. And then I got told by somebody that I was very close to that you sound miserable on the radio. You sound miserable doing that show, dude. Because I would leave that show And almost nightly, and again, I was also like 22 years old, I would leave that show and I'd go to the bar called KJ's on the Destin Harbor. I'd go there every night. It was right across the street from the radio station. And I would go there because any given night it was dollar beers. And I would go there and I'd have 3-4 beers and then I'd go home. And there was a guy who worked security there who listened to the show every night. And he came up to me one day and he's like, "You sound miserable." He's like, "You come in here after the show and you're like loud." And I jumped on stage with a band and played guitar and like, it was just a ball every night. And he goes, "Why don't you just do that? That's way more, you're more fun." And that was around the time that it clicked what Lee Corso said. "Free advice, kid. Have a good time." That I was like, that's what he meant. He wasn't talking about me like, have a good time today or have a good time in life. He was talking about when you do this, have a good time. And so the next day I was like, you know what? Bleep it. And I went in and you got more of this version of Rob Brown. We started having a lot more fun. We were a little bit more active, whatever. And about 2 weeks after that, I've told the story before about how my most successful show ever was that time slot sponsored by Hooters. The Rob Brown, it turned into Rob After Dark, and then it went to the Hooters Sports Show with Rob Brown because the guy that owned it happened to be listening to him in his restaurant one night, and he heard me talking, and I was a much more gruff, masculine version of myself back in the day. But I was talking about how
nothing like now. I mean,
no.
Okay. No gruff here.
I don't even remember what I was talking about, but I was talking about like some celebrity being a smoke show or something, and he heard it and he loved it. And he called my boss the next day, and it became the Hooters Sports Show. And I got paid a lot of money to host that show. And 2 days a week, I would drive and do my show live from Hooters, and he would hook me up with a Hooters girl, metaphorically speaking.
Wait.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was it, honestly. Like, that was when the show
only
took off.
metaphorical?
That was up to me.
Okay. That
was up to me.
I mean, it's just me and you. I mean, so it was only
metaphorically speaking.
Never.
No, metaphorically speaking,
okay,
and only metaphorically speaking.
Okay, all right.
So, all that being said, I can say that indirectly, my being here, my being on the radio in the upstate, my working with Lonzo, us winning 3 South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year awards, all of it came indirectly, but kind of directly, because the one time I met Coach Corso, the last words he said to me were, "Free advice, kid. Have a good time." And I again, took me a little while to get it, but then I got it, and now here we are. So, love the guy, man. Lovely Corso. And I will tell you right, there's a part of me, great one, that thinks I might take off from Bet for the Cycle on August 30th so I can watch every second of that show. I might take off the host show so I'm available for the last 3 minutes of it that day. We'll see. All right. That's going to do it for hour number 2. When we come back in hour number 3, we'll get into some Braves ball. They are back in action against the Twins today. NHL playoff field is set, and NBA playing games tonight, and a whole lot more when Rob and Lonzo return after Lonzo just seduces you, metaphorically, maybe, with his sports flash.
It's the right time of the night or the morning. I mean,
The sun is up. It's morning.
Yesterday on the any time of the day is all I'm saying. Yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers said the team had him fly on his own dime to a meeting in order to cut him within minutes. Rodgers also said he's had conversations with the Steelers, Giants, and Vikings during his free agency, but said he's prioritizing his personal life and is no rush to make a decision. Nailed the prioritizing, by the way. The Memphis Grizzlies have listed Ja Morant as a game-time decision for tonight's elimination game with a right ankle sprain suffered in Tuesday's loss to Golden State. ESPN reported Morant has significant swelling in the ankle and did not practice yesterday for Memphis. South Carolina Gamecocks baseball team won their first SEC game dating back to April 4th with a 3-2 home win over Ole Miss yesterday. Brandon Stone hurled a complete game, striking out 4 and walking none against 31 batters. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show coming up. South Pine.
getting by making minimum payments. With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-822-6611. That's 800-822-6611. Again, that's 800-822-6611.
PHC Weight Loss is growing and hiring. We are looking for a sales consultant, administrative inventory specialist, and health and wellness coaches. If you thrive in a high-energy environment and love making a difference, call us at 864-644-1900. 864-644-1900.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years, guaranteed, on my plan and my home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on my plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to insurance based monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You don't take your pills. Still looking out for you, Mom. I'll never stop. Need to care for you every day. Nature-Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle. Based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements. Upstate. WORD Spartanburg.
W246CB Spartanburg. For an official Rob Brown
Off we go into our number 3 of the Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you, 844-326-3663. That's the number to the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. You can shoot a text to that number or call that number and jump on the air with us. A couple of texts that you guys have sent in so far. Texas said, Colin Diesel said yesterday, Lee Corso's last game will either be Ohio State versus Texas or Clemson versus LSU. Those are the only two options. I disagree. I do agree with Texas, Ohio State in Columbus, as obviously that was the first place that Lee Corso put on the headgear. It would be fortuitous for it to also be the last. The other option, however, I think is Alabama at Florida State. Obviously, Lee Corso played his college football at Florida State, and obviously has a long history with Alabama, as many times as that school has been on College Game Day. That would be the other option, but I do think that, number one, I assume they're probably going to let Lee pick which one of those two schools he wants to go to, and if I had to guess, it'd be Texas, Ohio State, and I would go so far as to say he's going to end it with Brutus, right? He started it with Brutus, the horse chestnut. He's probably going to end it with Brutus, the horse chestnut. Texas said, Rob, do we get handshake hugs if we meet Rob and Lonzo in person? You get a handshake hug from me. You get an actual hug from Lonzo if you meet him. Don't ask. Just go in for the real deal, brothers hug.
By the way, don't do that.
Straight in, arms out, and just wrap him up. It makes him feel like $1 million. I've seen him beam like a bride on the wedding day just from a good hug from a random listener.
I will pancake you.
Don't even introduce
I don't know
yourself.
if you know what that means. Basically, I'll suplex you. So don't do that.
Just get in there nice
I may
and
not
tight.
be able to get back up after I do it, but it will be worth it.
Wrap him up like a friend you haven't seen since your high school graduation. He is going to be, he becomes radiant in the presence of a good hug.
Listen, if you come in for that, you're going to have to deal with my people. My people don't allow touching.
Kevin texts the show, said, I need to know, is my head playing games with me now? Does it now say the Rod Brown Show? There is one liner that pretty much does say the Rod Brown Show.
And we're guessing. We don't know for sure if that was done on purpose or not.
No, we have no idea.
But I do know, my understanding is our voice guy is blind. So he couldn't accidentally look at it and think the D was a B.
Correct. We also know our
so someone may have put that in there on purpose. That's all.
We also know our boss likes a good rib every now and then. Likes a good gimmick, a good joke, a good prank every now and then. So maybe. Texter said, Rob, how do you eat corn? LOL, just kidding. I know exactly who texted that, and I know why.
Uh-oh. We're going to get another pretentious, here's how you do things with food, aren't we?
Yep. Friend of the show, colleague in arms, comrade and brother Alex Guest revealed a couple of weeks ago that his wife consumes her cereal by putting a spoonful of cereal dry into her mouth hole and then picking up a glass of milk and drinking it, and then combining the milk and cereal in her mouth at the same time, which I described as then and describe as now psychopathic behavior. I got a text yesterday from Alex Guest who said he and his wife were having another food debate. Great one. The question I got was, hot debate at dinner in our household. When eating an ear of corn, do you eat a row across the corn or eat around the ear, revolving style in one spot, and then move down the corn like a typewriter?
Oh, so you're moving your teeth and just moving the corn.
Do you go
as opposed to going side
by side to side down the cob of corn, or do you like spin it and eat a piece and then spin it around like over the top like a drum roller?
I will say, as someone who tries to be as efficient as possible, I go side to side like a typewriter. I've seen other, like my granddaughter, she does the other method where you just go around, and I don't want to miss any corn. So if I'm going straight across, I'm probably not going to miss. And then I'm going to look to see if I missed any corn and go back and take care of that kernel or two and then head on to the next part.
The answer is side to side. The answer side to side. I responded when I got that text from our dear friend Alex Guest, and I quote, "What in the that is further psychopathic behavior. You eat a row straight, you rotate, and you repeat." He responded by saying he's the guy who eats it. And then he sent me a picture of his half-eaten corn cob, and I hate it.
Well, I don't like that. That's not
right.
That's unnatural.
Right.
It's an
abomination.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, dude.
It's not kind of weird. It is definitively weird.
It's you and I on the same page on a lot of things, especially food takes, but this one that's not natural.
Alex, all you need to know is that you have put Zoe and I on the same side of a food conversation. That never happens.
As a father of children, I don't recall ever going, "Okay, kids, here's how you eat corn." I think you just naturally know. You just pick it up and you know how to eat it.
Yes. You know, I know we've had this conversation. There are just some things that are innate knowledge that it's instinct. You're born with it. The one we always rely on, and I know that, and I apologize that this cuts out half the listening audience, but the one that we lean on is, as a bro, your pops, grandpops, uncles, whatever, none of them ever instruct you on proper urinal etiquette. It's just an instinct. You know how You know how like birds know how to repeatedly and every year migrate from one place to the next, and we don't know how they do it, right? Like they leave one place in the north and they fly to their same spot on the same beach in the winter, and then when spring rolls around, they fly back to the north and they go to the same spot and the same spot every year in the spring. And science does not know yet how they know to do that. It's instinct. They just know how to do it, right? It's that. No one ever said to me, here's how you eat corn on the cob. Now, granted, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with we watched the previous generation and that's how they did it. And they watched the previous generation and how they did it. And they watched the previous generation and how they did it. I'm sure some of it is just picked up habitually from watching the previous generation do it. But who in the blue hell did you watch eat corn by inefficiently taking a bite, spin, take a bite, spin, take a bite, spin, just go long ways, just long ways, and then rotate 1 degree up and then go back the other way. Alex Guest, you are having to spin the corn 700 times more than I have to spin the corn. You understand that?
Yeah, it's a lot more effort. You know, I'm usually pro Alex in almost everything, but this, I just cannot. I can't get behind this. It just doesn't make sense in my head.
Zero. And I listen. This is one. You know how your taste changes as you grow up, right? Like I didn't like corn as a kid. Now I love corn. I could not stand corn growing up. Now, every time I go to the cookout, crawfish boil, I'm putting corn down in the boil every time. I love corn now. I love corn on the cob now. I don't know why. Hated it as a kid. Love it now. So for years, never ate corn on the cob. Now that I'm in, the first time that I was like, you know, let me try corn on the cob again. Because I will go back and revisit foods that I don't like. Because my taste have changed dramatically. I didn't like beer the first time I had it. Now I'm a big fan, metaphorically and literally. When I got back into corn, I didn't have to. Nobody told me how to eat corn on the cob. I got the corn. I slathered it in butter, and then you just go from one side to the other, rotate one side to the other, rotate one side to the other. Alice, guess you have to rotate the corn 99 times. What are we doing here? What are we doing, man? Who in the world is eating their corn by rotating it over the top? Like, I assume that's the same people who put toilet paper with the loose end tucked underneath and not over the top of it.
Yeah, that's all right. It don't matter where you put your toilet paper.
It does. It does a lot.
That's just wanting to argue for argument's sake.
No,
I don't go in and go, oh, you are bad people because you went underneath. I don't care.
Don't do that.
It's just
do it the right
paper.
way.
Put that aside. This corn thing might need some evaluation somewhere.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned about that.
Self-help program, possibly. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm genuinely concerned for my guy Alex that is a normal thought that he had. That's a totally normal thing. It's not.
He didn't show Cole that, did he? I hope not.
I don't know, but I got to tell you, in the long time that I have known and worked with and around Cole Bryson, I've never wanted his opinion on the topic more than I do right now. I don't know how to explain it. Cole's 100% a side-to-side guy, right? Like he's 100% a side-to-side guy because he's not a weirdo.
I don't know, man. He's probably spent time out in the corn. You know, he's probably shucked it out there and ate it out there, but yeah, probably still side-to-side.
That's I got nothing, man. I don't, Alex. I don't know what to say to you, buddy. I don't know what to say to you other than
now. Diesel, we might need to question that because with an immaculate beard, you may have to do things differently because you don't want to get any of that in there.
I have a beard. No, you don't.
Yeah, but you don't. I have a beard too, but you don't have a Diesel beard though.
I don't. If Diesel's got corn in this area of the beard,
I'm guessing
he's got bigger problems.
I'm guessing Diesel is the guy that holds it up and just cuts it off with a knife.
For the record, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. All right.
My uncle used to do that, but he had dentures, so I understood why he had to do that.
For the record, I have to do that now because my front teeth.
Okay.
All right. I have to do that now. I cannot eat apples anymore off the, like I can't hold them. I can't Carlito an apple anymore.
Why get an ear of corn if you know you got to cut it off? Why not just get canned corn?
No, because if I can throw that corn of cob on a barbecue grill or into a boil, like not like boil the corn. I mean, like throw it into like a crawfish boil, a shrimp boil, a low country boil, whatever. That is the best possible way to prepare corn. I will 100% go that direction before I get like a can of corn. All right, just fresh off the cob, shucking it myself. All right, like that's the play. But in what world? In what cutting it off the cob? Fine. Because if nothing else, takes you 20 seconds to cut it off the cob, and now I just got a pile of corn that's ready. And on top of that, I can spread the whatever I'm going to put on the corn: fresh melted butter, a little salt and pepper, maybe a little pop of the Old Bay on top of it. Mix it up in there. I can season it and make sure it's evenly distributed amongst my pile of corn. Efficiency's sake alone, you're rotating the corn over the top, you psychopath. What are we doing here? Come on, man. What?
I don't know if I would have submitted that to public opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
The fact that
it says, I know I need help. Let me tell some other people and maybe they'll get me help.
Yeah. The fact that even like once registered in your brain, you've seen other people eat corn. No one does it that way. Like I assume the same number of people who eat their corn that way, like the percentage wise has got to be equivalent to the number of people who rob banks.
You don't think that this is admitting this is a way to get back on good graces after throwing his wife under the bus about the cereal thing?
No, I
don't think that's what this is.
His wife, I think Mrs. Alex Guest, after getting called out and put on blast on this show, saw Alex go with the rotate over the top corn thing, was like, I got you. I'll get you back. I'll make you the butt of the joke.
All right.
And she was right.
Here's the question. Which one's weirder between the two?
The cereal thing. By a million. A million.
The cereal thing still makes sense to me. I wouldn't do it, but it makes sense.
No.
I think the corn thing's weirder.
No, the cereal thing is still.
I'm going to go with the corn thing is a little bit weirder.
Not a chance. The cereal thing is beyond weird. All right, we got to run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we told you about it yesterday. The news broke late overnight Wednesday, got confirmed on Thursday. Didn't really get a chance to spend too much time on it yesterday, but we will when we come back. The NCAA has approved rule changes to combat players faking injuries. I said that in a real weird way. To fight players faking injuries. Good. And interestingly enough, it was the commissioner of the conference that I think took the most heat for this last year, that I also think was the trigger, the catalyst for this happening. We'll talk about that when we come back here in just a minute. Keep in mind, 1 hour from now, WrestleMania Night 2 with a bonus Fight Club. So stick around for that, you wrestling fans, as we get set for the showcase of the Immortals. All that coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. If I meet you guys, it'll be a high-end hug. Do not walk up and spontaneously and without consent hug Lonzo. It's a joke. Or do. It'd be hilarious.
Hey, all I know is you may have a lawsuit coming your way, fella. You encourage abuse.
All right, give me 30 seconds, guys. We'll be right back. and I have figured out a cheat code, which is Courtney is good to let me do whatever I want to do if I will make her dinner on the Blackstone. So I get to cook on this killer grill and also be like, hey, babe, we're watching WrestleMania tonight. I'll make you Philly cheesesteaks on the griddle.
There you go.
So on Wednesday, the NCAA, in an effort to curb football players faking injuries in order to manipulate the clock, changed their rules. Under the new rule, if medical personnel enter the field to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, that player's team will be charged a timeout. If the team does not have any timeouts remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty and whatever clock rules come into play would be assessed against that team. The proposal to adjust the injury timeout rule resulted from teams faking injuries to stop their opponent's momentum or avoid using an allotted timeout. We saw this happen many, many times over the past couple of years. Team A is in the shotgun. They're going with the hurry up. They're going with the hustle up offense. They're bang, 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 dinking and dunking down the field. And then all of a sudden, defensive end goes, been shot, and just collapses to the ground randomly. Or you see coaches start pointing at a guy, and all of a sudden that DB suddenly's got a cramp. And the trainers come out, and they take their time around. And of course, as this is all happening, the defense is going over the sideline, getting water, getting wind, making substitutions, yada, whatever the case is, over on the sideline. It has been an issue for a couple of years now. Some teams have gotten to the point where it's kind of part of their game plan, right? I'm a Lane Kiffin fan, but the Ole Miss Rebels have been wildly guilty of this. Arkansas has been wildly guilty of this. Alabama has not been like as egregious about it, but there has been conversation that Alabama over the last couple of years has been somewhat guilty of this. My response to all of it is good. Like, in what world have we ever accepted it? It's not cheating, right? Like, it's not cheating, but it is, I guess, for lack of a better word, fraudulent activity. It's fraudulent. You're not hurt. You're just gassed. Your defense is gassed. All right. Figure it out. Use your timeout. Come up with a sack. Get a tackle, do something about it. I don't know why this has been something that took this long. Again, the fact that we have been talking about this and complaining about this for a few years now. And we just got around to the fix. I'm glad we did. And I don't like to be the guy that goes, oh, you fixed it, but you should have done it years. But yeah, that. Like, this should have been something that happened a couple of years back. I'm glad it got done. I'm glad it happened. I'm not, because again, I don't love cliches. One of the cliches over the years that I have headbutted people about, metaphorically speaking, is the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game. Because I think for a very long time, people have utilized the concept of the spirit of the game as a way to make an argument for or against something that, again, they just don't like. It is pretty impressive the number of arguments that have happened in this and other worlds that are predicated solely on, yeah, I don't like that thing, and therefore I don't think that thing should be allowed. Or I really do like that thing, and I think that thing should be allowed, without good, solid, universal justification. This happens in politics all the time. Somebody goes, that should be illegal. Why? Well, it's not what the founders intended. All right, but do we have an argument for it? This is why we have a legislative system. This is why we have a judicial system. It happens all the time in business. I have worked with managers before that have said, do this or don't do that. And their justification is, That's what I like. I told you earlier about the old show that I used to host. And I had to do when I got my first drive time gig because the old host went away for a while. And I went in and the boss goes, do the show this way. And the justification was because that's what I want to hear. All right, so I don't get to try anything new, right? Like if there was justification for it, sure. If there's data evidence backing it up, sure. But like, I don't like it. In this case, I'm 100% going to go with the spirit of the game argument. The whole concept of manipulating concern about athlete health, well-being, and safety, that's a problem. Now, what I will say this, under the new rule, if medical personnel enter the field to evaluate an injured player after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play, that player's team will be charged a timeout. There are injuries where a player will get up and try to walk it off, right? There are injuries where a guy maybe like his ankle rolls over and he hops up and he tries to see if he can put the weight on it or whatever. You will now just have to coach your kid. Listen, if you are hurt, even if it's minor, do not get up because refs are going to call a play dead, grab the ball, spin it over to the field judge, and he's going to spot it. And if you get up and you try to work that ankle off, if you get up and try to walk that hit off or try to get your breath back or whatever, and they spot the ball, you're going to cost us a timeout or a delay of game. We can't have that. So I do think you will have to coach your kids. If you are banged up, if you lose your breath, if your ankle rolls over, whatever, just stay down. Just stay down. There's going to have to be some level of dropping the pride of rubbing some dirt on it and moving on. Man, if you think you're dinged up, go down. We got backups. We'll send one in for the play. You come to the sideline, work that ankle out, catch your breath, use the oxygen mask, whatever you need to do. Come to the sideline, get yourself sorted, and then if you're ready to go, we'll stick you back in there. But I'd rather that than have a defense fake an injury, take advantage of our care and concern of the health and well-being of college football players in order to manipulate the game. I do have a problem with that. So I think this was a long time coming. I think this was something that is unfortunately necessary, but necessary nonetheless. I think this is a good thing. And I think it is a good thing for the game of football so that, because again, how many times have I said it's going back to the ABS thing with baseball? A game should be decided based on the athletic successes or failures of the people playing it and nothing else. The people coaching it and nothing else. You should win a football game because your defense was able to stop the offense. You should win a football game because your offense was able to outperform a defense. You should win a football game because your coach was able to come up with tactical schemes and tinker with them in game better than the guy wearing the headset on the other sideline. That's it. That should be all that determines the outcome. If your offense commits a foul, they should be punished for that foul, and that's part of the game. Not they're punished for a foul because the referee's bad at his job. You should be penalized because you did something in violation of the rule of the game, not the spirit of the game. Kind of goes to the baseball thing with the concept of how many of y'all have made the argument, well, Rob, if you go with ABS, that's the end of catchers framing pitches. Oh, you mean that thing where catchers try to trick the umpires into making a bad call? That thing? That thing where catchers manipulate the human emotions or emotions. Well, maybe sometimes, Angel. The human senses to get them to fraudulently ring up a batter. That thing, I know. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. This is kind of the same thing. I am good with a world where if a defense needs a breather, they got to come up with a stop. Because I don't know if you know this, but for every snap of the football that a defensive lineman takes and gets engaged in hand-to-hand combat, so does an offensive lineman. For every route that a defensive back has to turn his hips, get into the slot, and defend, a wide receiver has to run it. For every time that a linebacker has to drop back into coverage and put eyes on the quarterback to see where they are going and what is going to happen, a quarterback has to drop back into the pocket, bounce around, look around, scramble, and escape. This is like, it is not just the 11 guys on defense that are tired when the offense is high tempo. The offense has to run the same number of plays. And if they get to sub, you get to sub. If they run a guy off because he's gassed, you get to run guys off because they're gassed. But if they don't, you don't. And if they don't, it means their guys are running. I'll tell you what I am going to say. You know who just became way more important to a college football program? Your conditioning coach. Your coach that has you in the offseason running 10 million wind sprints so that when it is the fourth quarter in week 11 and the playoffs are on the line and you're up 3 and their offense has the ball and their offense is dink, dunk, dink, dunk, dink, dunk out of the shotgun, chip it away at the field position. Your guys aren't gassed. Your guys have some kerosene left. They got some diesel in the tank left to keep playing good, solid defense and get the stop to get off the field. Your stamina and strength and conditioning coaches just became way more important than they have. I mean, they've always been important. Let me be clear. I'm not saying they've not been important. They are important. They always have been important. But they just gained and increased relevance in the college football landscape. Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I promise you I'll have my mock draft on Monday. All right? I wanted to have it today. But I had the opportunity yesterday to go to the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Had a great time, by the way. I'm going to start playing those interviews for you coming up next week on the show.
Well, you've only got a few more days to get your mock draft in before the actual draft happens.
I will have it for you on Monday. Okay?
Uh-huh.
But what I will do when we come back is talk about 3 or 4 players in the first round of the draft that I think are going to have easily the most impact on the NFL right out of the gate. I'll give you a list of some of my favorite players in this draft, and we'll talk about if any of them might be available at number 8. That's coming up next. We got Bonus Fight Club at 9:20. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. I saw that. The golf course.
Did you see this thing I sent you before that, though? I sent you like 2 things.
Ooh. Wait, what is it? Dr. Brett Baker, DMD, gets it. She gets it.
I also sent you something before that, too.
I also saw the Johnson.
I was going to say that you might be interested in. I don't know.
Who makes that? Okay, that's AI.
What?
The Jaws whiskey.
You sure?
Yeah, because I'm relatively sure that they're not selling a celebration edition.
Ah.
Also, if you zoom in, you can see spots where like the liquid has holes in it and stuff. However, if anybody makes a Jaws shark bottle, I'm buying it. I love Jaws. Most terrifying movie I've ever watched.
doors are wide open and running free. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on Classic Road 101.1. If you're building or ready to replace any of your home furnishings, now's the time during our spring savings sale at Jeff Lynch. Since 1926, Smith Brothers Furniture, handcrafted with pride in the heart of America. Stanley Sofa by Fusion Sofa, now only $549. Up to 5 years, 0% interest on Tempur-Pedic's adjustable base bedding. Sealy's Crown Jewel Queen Mattress, now only $377. For the very best service, selection, and price, come to Jeff Lynch Appliance and TV Center Spring Savings Sale, 17 Rover Mountain Road, Greenville, and jefflynch.com. Prescriptions require online consultation and care provider will determine the appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details on policy and for UC subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription claim.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra.
Thieves pulled off a 20 million jewelry heist in downtown LA, cutting through a wall and cleaning out 2 safes.
Say that again?
Thieves stole $20 million in jewelry by cutting through a wall and clearing out 2 safes.
Going old school.
Right. This is very much a plot of something. You see these things in movies and you never see them actually work in real life. Apparently it did.
Joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
From the Ingles Market Studio,
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM.
Always blood from the free Odyssey. Now, the Infinity Sports Center. Text or call. One number does it all.
Less than a week away from NFL Christmas. It is the NFL Draft. Round number 1 next Thursday. Of course, the Carolina Panthers on the clock at selection number 8. Earlier this week, I told you that one of the best possible outcomes for the Carolina Panthers, in my opinion, one of the best possible outcomes would be that Mel Kiper Jr. is correct and that Shedeur Sanders is passed on by a bunch of teams. Why? Because even though Shedeur Sanders has, and this is really interesting to me, I will start by saying I was skeptical of Shedeur Sanders as an NFL draft prospect like last year, going into this offseason. It is interesting to me watching the fall of Shedeur Sanders down the draft board, right? Because a month and a half ago, Shedeur Sanders was widely believed to be right with Cam Ward. And the belief was that there was no chance that Shedeur Sanders was making it past the New York Football Giants at pick number 3. And then over like the last, 3 weeks max, maybe 2 weeks, Shedeur Sanders has been tumbling down mock drafts. And it is the first time in a long time that I have actively started to question people. Because it is like, what is it after the, not just after the college football season concluded, but like months after the college football season concluded, when all of you back in February and March had Shedeur Sanders as the second or third best player available in this draft. Now, all of a sudden, you all have him as the 12th or 13th player in the draft in terms of position playing. It is the first time that I think it is quite evident to me that a solid chunk of draft experts really just kind of quote each other. It is the first time that it is evident to me that a lot of draft experts just kind of read everybody else's draft and parrot each other about it. Now, I'm not saying that I don't take other people's perspectives into consideration. when I am looking at this stuff. But you can go to YouTube and you can just pop in the name of almost any and every player that is available to be drafted. And you can go get highlights of them. You can go get lowlights of them. You can just pull up film of just about anybody that you would be interested in drafting. And you can learn whatever it is you want to learn about them. And so for me, and I'll keep it a buck, the Rob Brown Show mock draft is one round. Do you know why? Because while I am 1,000% willing to go look at 32 players draft film and come up with guys and put them in an order based on the collective needs of different teams in the first round, I don't have the time or desire to do that for 300 players. I just don't. Sorry. I just don't. I'll go do it for Cam Ward and Shador and compare and contrast and tell you the things I see and like and don't see and don't like, etc. But the fall of Shador Sanders has been really interesting because it's like, it feels to me like someone somewhere, some expert somewhere decided one day, yeah, Shador's not that good. And then somebody else went, oh, somebody else said that. I'm going to roll with that. And now that's just kind of where we are. Just out of intrigue, I went to ESPN's power ranked draft players. They've got Shador Sanders ranked 14th on the player power ranking. Back in February, he was number 3. He was number 3. Now he's at 14. What did you see months after the college football season ended that had you drop him however many spots it is from 3 to 14? 11 spots. Doing math on the fly is not my strong point. But I did put together my power rankings of players in terms of immediate impact. Guys that will show up on day number 1 to their NFL franchise and make a difference. The first one, not going to shock anybody. It's Abdul Carter from Penn State. Ryan Horvat and Brad Evans on BetMGM tonight last week asked me, what player in the draft has the most impact as a rookie? And my answer then was Abdul Carter. My answer now is Abdul Carter. Here's my favorite thing about Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. He's only been an edge rusher, like a true, genuine edge rusher, for about 8 games. And in about 8 games, he made that much of a difference for Penn State. You can put him down on the line in a 4-point. You can stand him outside as an outside edge rusher from the outside linebacker position. There's nowhere that you can't put the guy. He is as fast off the line of scrimmage as anybody in the game. And more importantly, his change in position in the pass rush, his change in direction in the pass rush. There's 2 ways to pass rush somebody. Number 1 is the bull rush, what we call the Lonzo method. I'm going to put my face mask between your numbers, and then I am just going to beat your ass. I am just going to drive you backwards into the quarterback. The second position, yes, you can do that from the bear crawl position, but...
No, I was saying I was more of a swim move guy. I was a lot faster than what you think, but that's fine. I mean, you look at me now. Now I would be bull rush for sure.
The number 2 way to pass rush somebody is to be very twitchy in the pass rush. That is where the swim move, the rip move, the dive move, the spin move, that's where that comes in. In order to be that kind of guy, you have got to have the ability to be wildly shifty and have a remarkable sense of acceleration. Here's the thing about Abdul Carter. He's one of the few guys that can do both. There's not a lot of guys that can do both. He is one of the few guys that can do both. Abdul Carter is going to have the most impact as a rookie. The second guy that I think is going to have, and you're going to notice a theme here as I give you the first couple of guys. The second guy is Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Led Michigan's defensive line with 45 tackles last year. He's a defensive tackle 45 tackles last year for Michigan. Tell you what I like about this cat. Young ballers out there, listen to Rob Brown. I told you about pass rush. Let me give you one more thing you need to know. How to disengage with a blocker. How to, when a guy gets hands on your chest, how to separate from this guy. 6'4", 296. But watch him separate from blockers. It is a fast bang with the hand, get their hands off, figure out where the pressure is, figure out where the slot is you need to fill. One quick shot with the hands and get into that gap. He is everything that Abdul Carter is as a edge rusher, as a guy who can separate in pass pro or from pass pro. This cat is against the run block. He is a bull rusher who understands, who can find the spot where it is disengage, separate, and get yourself into the gap that you need to get into. Mason Graham is the second most impactful. You're going to hear a lot about him. Third most. Tyler Warren is not Brock Bowers. I want to be very clear about this. Tyler Warren is not Brock Bowers. Tyler Warren is going to be very impactful in week one. Tyler Warren is going to be very impactful in week one. Leaves Penn State as the program leader in total touchdowns with 25, total receptions with 153, total receiving yards in 1,839, and total receiving touchdowns in 19 amongst tight ends all time at Penn State. And here's my favorite part. At 6'6", 256, he's a stout run blocker. But do you know what I can do with Tyler Warren? I can do with Tyler Warren what Las Vegas did with Brock Bowers last year. I can line him up as a tight end, and I can motion him to the slot, and guess what? Now he's a genuine pass-catching threat. Now he's a guy that I trust as a route runner. Now he is a guy that I trust as an outside blocker. He is the most, I think, deadly screen blocking tight end we have seen in a long time. And when I say screen block, I don't just mean line him up in a traditional tight end spot and have him bubble route out to the outside for a block. I mean, I'm going to line him up in the slot. I'm going to set you up for Tyler Warren, the route runner, and then I am going to have him set up a block as a screen guy. Tyler Warren is the third most rookie impact player out there. The fourth, and here's where we start getting into the cats that I think could be available for the Cats at number 8, Jalen Walker out of Georgia. 6'1", 243 pounds. Not the tallest guy in the world. But at 245, he is stout for his size. I can put him at the inside linebacker. I can put him at a true defensive end. And this is why I think he, if Carolina stays at 8, is the pick. By the way, I saw yesterday there are reports coming out of Charlotte. We'll talk to Rashad Beard about this next week. He'll join us on NFL Draft Day number 1 that morning. Reports coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina, that Jalen Walker is the pick for Carolina if they make a pick at number 8. And it is because he is that hybrid guy. Here's what I like about him at 6'1". He can actually get under blocks. He's the type of dude that when an offensive tackle kicks back into pass pro, right? When a tackle kicks back into pass pro, that first step, left tackle is going to step back. One of the things that they are taught is you step back, you get the back straight and the arms up. Now, for a lot of defensive ends, it's going to be hard to accelerate off the ball at a rate that you are at the offensive tackle by the time that they have kicked the leg back, planted it, and established their base. The best pass rushers in the game are the pass rushers who can be at the offensive tackle's position when they get that kickback foot established. If they are already there, if they are already on you at that point, you find yourself in a good spot because you find yourself in a spot at that spot where I can now determine based on the offensive tackle's foot positioning, hand positioning, and positioning relative to the guard, where my gap is that I need to get to. Spin inside, bull rush through him, move to swim rip to the outside or the inside, whatever. When I get to that tackle, if I'm on him when that back foot kicks and plants, a good edge rusher is going to be able to look and go, okay, there's an inside rush lane because he kicked back past the guard, right? He and the offensive guard kicked. He's 8 inches behind the offensive guard. There's a gap there. Bang, I'm shooting to the inside. Hit him with that rip move to the inside. Hit him with that swim over the top. Or he kicked back and he stayed in line with the guard. They've made a wall, so my move is to the outside. Let my linebacker fill that gap if anybody comes there. Because they're not running in that spot. They've closed that spot. So if they are run, it's going to be across the outside of my face. And if they're not, the linebacker is responsible for that spot. Bang, swim move to the outside or whatever. Jalen Walker, with the exception of Abdul Carter, has probably the fastest acceleration off the snap of any edge rusher in this draft. So I can put him out as a true defensive end in a 4-3. But the beauty of Jalen Walker is that I can also line him up as an outside linebacker and with a 79-inch wingspan on the books. What this means is the guy's rangy. He's only 6'1", but he's rangy. I can line him up as an outside linebacker, and I can have him play stepped up. I can have him sit back in his zone. I think this kid's going to be a stud. And the reason I'll spend this much time talking about Jalen Walker is because I am becoming increasingly convinced that if he's available, if Shador's off the board, because I have said the only way I think Carolina's trading back is if they get a good haul for it. And if they're going to trade back for a good haul, it's only going to be because if Shador is on the board at 8, New Orleans is taking him at 9. There's enough smoke out of the Big Easy for me to believe that there is a fire. If Shador Sanders is available at 9, the Saints will take him, which means that if there's a team out there, like in LA, there is a rumor. I do not believe it, but there is a rumor that there are 2 teams that are interested potentially in trading back into the first round. That is to say, teams that have a pick 1 through 7 and then would be interested in giving up a haul to get back into the first round, maybe early, to pick up Shador Sanders. Again, I don't believe it. Shador Sanders is an athlete, but he needs polish. He's not worth giving up 3 first-round picks to go get him. He's not worried. He's not that yet. But if that is true, and if that's on the table, and New Orleans sees Shador at 9, they're taking him. So if Shador stays on the board till 8, Carolina's trading back. If Shador is not available, if the Giants, as I predict they will, take him, or if the Browns take him at number 2 because they're Cleveland, then I'm convinced Jalen Walker is going to be the pick at number 8. Why? Because with the exception of Abdul Carter, I don't think there's a player in the draft that better fits this spot. I think Mason Graham might be a better player at the next level, but I also know you got Derek Brown on this team still. He was injured last year, so a lot of folks kind of wrote that off. But you got Derek Brown. I don't need a big man in the middle. I need edge rushers. Jalen Walker is the second best edge rusher on this draft, and I don't see anybody else ahead of Carolina taking him. So we'll see how that plays out. I got a few more guys, and I will kind of sprinkle them in throughout the next week. I promise, I will have their I will have the Rob Brown Show mock draft ready on Monday. But it's 1 round long, okay? 32 picks. I'll have it for you on Monday. What I also promise is that for the next 60 seconds, you are going to be filled with radiance and joy as Alonzo reads you a sports flash.
As long as that dwarf doesn't keep hitting me in the knee with the hammer, I'm good. Yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, former Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers said the team had him fly on his own dime to a meeting in order to cut him within minutes. Rodgers also said he's had conversations with the Steelers, Giants, and Vikings during his free agency, but said he's prioritizing his personal life and is in no rush to make a decision. Memphis Grizzlies have listed Ja Morant as a game-time decision for tonight's elimination game with a right ankle sprain suffered in Tuesday's loss to Golden State. ESPN reported Morant has significant swelling in the ankle and did not practice yesterday for Memphis. South Carolina Gamecocks baseball team won their first SEC game dating back to April 4th with a 3-2 home win over Ole Miss yesterday. Brandon Stone hurled a complete game, striking out 4 and walking none against 31 batters. Hour number 4 of the Rob Brown Show is next, right here on The Fan Upstate.
With unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh clothes, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
What up, fellow Gen Xers? Elizabeth Banks here. As the original latchkey kids, we took things into our own hands, like house keys and video game controllers. And now it's time for us to do it again, because the recommended age to get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. We're at over 6 times greater risk compared to adults under 50. So go to vaxassist.com and schedule. Gen X, this is our shot. Sponsored by Pfizer.
The Fan Upstate is putting you on the clock. Get ready for live wall-to-wall coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft Thursday night, April 24th, starting at 7 p.m. Who will the Titans take with the number 1 pick? What's the plan for the Carolina Panthers? Will they trade down? We're bringing you exclusive insight, expert analysis, and live interviews straight from Green Bay. Don't miss a moment, only on the Fan Upstate, your home for the NFL. Wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on, leave on.
Talking Clemson baseball with head coach Eric Backett. Is that an identity that you want this team to have year in and year out, talking about the long ball? Or would you say that offensive production and how you score varies year to year?
Yeah, I would say that the way we construct an offense is a blend of speed and power, and we never want to be one-dimensional. We don't want to only be able to score by hitting home runs, and we don't only want to be able to score by, bunting and hitting and running and stealing and doing all that stuff. We want to be able to do it all. We want all the bullets in the gun. And so we build an offense with a good blend and balance of both. You can't be one-dimensional in this game in college baseball.
You dying?
Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Good.
Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Just shotgun blast to the knee for some reason.
Grown-ass men who are trying to win jobs and trying to prove a point, very prideful men are going to win. You cannot call off any of that.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon on the Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and everywhere on the Odyssey app.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't have been, but whatever. I don't think I said anything bad. Other than ow.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 844-326-3663. That is the number to the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, 844-FANFONE. That's also the number to call the show, to jump on the air with us, 844-FANFONE. If you want to come at us in that direction, you're certainly welcome to get at us. We have been talking some NFL draft this AM. Who's your pick? You've got less than a week. You're the GM. Who's the guy you're going with at number 8? If that is indeed where the Panthers draft. And would you be willing to trade back to add a little bit more? And if so, what are you looking for? What are you looking for if that's going to be the case? We will obviously continue to break down the draft as we get ever closer. At Kevin L4 on Twitter said, Rob Brown, you got skinny, boy. Are you on the Ozempic train? No.
Ozempic.
I will tell you this, Kev. Here's what I have learned, as I have once again in my yo-yoing up and down dropped the LBs now to under 217. It turns out, I didn't know this, but I do now. You do not have to eat the whole pizza. That's it. That's my number one bit of life advice right now. You don't have to eat the whole. You can eat the whole pizza. Nobody is challenging you to do so. Okay? In fact, I have learned, my little joy, leftovers are awesome. Big fan of leftovers. So, Kev, I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Our buddy famously Garnet of the Welcome Home pod yesterday, got the chance to see and hang out with him yesterday at the South Carolina Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And he posted a picture. I got a chance to spend a few minutes talking to Kyle Kennard, edge rusher for the South Carolina Gamecocks. He'll be in the NFL draft next week.
Were you suited up for this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. Suited up. It's, you get, listen, sometimes I like to, get the old vibes going. It was a nice little ceremony. And thanks again to everybody over at the SC Football Hall of Fame for the generosity and hospitality of the invitation and a lovely dinner last night. Had a little prime rib, had some shrimp and grits, and I got to tell you, some of the best hush puppies I've ever had in my life. And listen to me on this.
It's a weird combination, isn't it?
Nah, shrimp and grits and hush puppies go great.
Well, shrimp and grits, but still.
Love some shrimp and grits. They made hush puppies. They made garlic butter hush puppies. I don't know if they made the garlic butter and then drizzled it on the hush puppy. I don't know if they somehow made the garlic butter into the hush puppy, but I smoked some hush puppies last night. Smoked some plain boring hush puppies. All right. All right. Right? But good hush puppies? Untouchable. Also, are they called hush puppies because I'm making this up off the top of my head. Back in the day, did you give extra little bits of bread to the puppies to get them to hush? Is that why we call them hush puppies? That was the theory I floated last night. I'm like, why? You know what? I don't understand why we call them this. I'm assuming that back in the day, you would toss little morsels of bread to the dogs to get them to shut the hell up.
Well, I think you looked that up. Hush puppies are called
made that up.
Hush puppies because the name likely originated from fishermen and cooks throwing fried cornbread dough to dogs to quiet them down while fishing or cooking.
That just makes sense. Just makes sense. You want the puppy to hush, you give him a hush
act
puppy.
Of tossing the cornbread was accompanied by the phrase hush puppy.
Yeah.
Hence the name.
Bang. Smart boy over here. So our guy Famously Garnett put up a picture. I got a chance to talk to Kyle Kennard. I'll play that interview for you on Monday. I also got a chance to talk to Jonathan Abraham, who was – these two dudes were big as hell.
I was going to say they're large men, right?
Kyle Kennard – all right, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and throw the picture up on the live screen, which you can hang out with us on our live stream at facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. This picture is taken at eye level for me. And I will have you know that as I normally do when I interview people, that are giant human beings, I do my best to stand up straight. I don't have much going for me in life. 6'3", 217's the best thing I got going for me.
I know. It looks like you're leaning back a little bit to look up. I'm just saying.
No, that's what a person with good posture looks like.
Nuh-uh.
Okay? Not a lot of us in radio have it.
I was going to say, I'm looking at you right now. I don't know.
That's good posture. Standing up straight, trying to have the conversation with Kyle Kennard. Dude had me by 2 inches. And while this picture doesn't show it, bro is bleeping yoked.
All right, we've had some wrestlers in here. How would you compare him to someone like Damian Priest or someone like that?
Bigger, more jacked than all of them.
Okay.
He's the yokedest dude that I have been around since Kevin Green back in the day.
Bro, you like the yokedest.
It's unbelievable. The dude, and he had on, so he was rocking the suit pants with the sweater over a dress shirt. And when he turned the corner, I kind of did the thing where I looked and I turned back and I was like, oh, that is one big son of a. Oh, that's Kyle Kennard. I got it. That makes sense. Got a chance to talk to him. Then I got to talk to John Abraham. Longtime NFL great. Drafted by the Jets. Played a handful of years with the Atlanta Falcons. Ended his career with the Arizona Cardinals. John Abraham was a borderline Hall of Famer. In fact, we were having a conversation because John Abraham walked up to me. And while I can't tell you specifically why he asked, he is making a big-time NFL-related television appearance sometime in, hypothetically, the next 6 days, is what I can tell you. And so John Abraham is making an appearance on behalf of a particular NFL team in a big-time nationally televised television spot sometime in, again, roughly the next 6 days. And so I had not yet spoken to John Abraham. And he walked up to me. For those of you that aren't on the stream and didn't see the picture, I wore my wedding suit yesterday. Why? Because it was dumb expensive and I'm going to get my mileage out of it. That's why. Because it looks real good and I'm getting my mileage out of it.
You think you look good in it. That's why you're wearing it.
No, I don't think I look good in it at all. I am well aware that I look good in it.
Okay. All right.
So, throwing the suit, he rolls over to me, John Abraham did, and he goes, hey, bro, where'd you get that suit? And I told him. I was like, I was a little shop over in Greenville, South Carolina, took care of me. They hooked me up. He goes, was it off the rack? And I was like, no, sir. I went in there, had to pick out my fabric, had to pick out my buttons, had to pick out, I got it made. And he goes, how fast was the turnaround? I was like, about 2 weeks. And he goes, do you think they could do it in a week? I was like, I don't know, John Abraham. I've never made a suit before. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm guessing you didn't say it that way.
No, I did not.
Okay,
I said it took them 2 weeks. I said, but I also got it fitted for my wedding, and I got it fitted like 4 months out. So I told him, like, I'm not in a hurry. I said, if you tell them that you need it for a television appearance like 7 days from tonight, I don't know if they could like express it. Here's what I do know. What I do know is once I ordered it and got it in, the folks at the shop were like, this is a good suit, good texture, good pattern, good color. I kind of might have to get one. I said, so they may have everything saved where you can just go in there and like get the measurements. And they did have an option to get it rush ordered. How conversation. Then he commented on the Jordans that I got that perfectly matched the suit. And we ended up having like a 5-minute conversation about the suit. I said, hey, can I grab you for 5 minutes to ask you some questions about the show? And he was like, yep, absolutely. So we were just kind of shooting it for a minute. At one point, John Abraham, who was wearing a sweater vest under a suit jacket, a red suit jacket. At one point, this dude unbuttons the suit jacket while we were talking. This man could suit up and play today. I have never been intimidated by a dude opening a suit jacket, but in that moment, I was like, I better talk nice about everything this man ever did.
You didn't take a step back, did you?
No, because I was interviewing on the phone, so I had to like hold it up to him.
Okay.
But he took. Let me tell you what happened in my brain. This man opened the suit jacket and like kind of turned to face me to answer a question. And I don't know what the answer to the question I asked him was, because the only thing that went through my brain was, you better get in the gym, fat ass. Are you kidding me? This dude is like a Greek god. This man has not been in the NFL for like 9 years. All right. And there were some other guys there. You want to know what pain feels like? I'll tell you what pain feels like. Pain feels like shaking hands with Troy Brown. Remember Troy Brown, 3-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots? Remember when Troy Brown was like class of the league as a return man? When Troy Brown was just an absolute dog? I got to meet Troy Brown, who's in his mid-50s and looks like it. This dude, I used to watch this guy as a dog in the NFL, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're in your mid-50s. That made me feel ancient. John Abraham rolls over, and I'm like, bro, why did you retire? You look like you could suit it up now.
Genetics come into play. Some people are just naturally bigger, and they can keep it with just a minimal amount of work.
I got to tell you, I'll have what he's having. This guy was unbelievable. Took off the jacket. I'm like, good God, you could play today. But he was super nice. I will tell you this real quick story about John Abraham real quick before we run to a break. While we were all doing the interviews with these folks, me and the rest of the media nerds were doing our interviews, the SC Football Hall of Fame was creating social media posts for them and sending them for them to post on their social media. And so they had a young lady there who was kind of like the social media coordinator or whatever. And so she would like make the post, and then she would go, okay, here's how you do it, and we're going to get you logged in, and we're going to blah, 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 blah. So she walks over to, she's trying to get John Abraham going. And she goes, what's your Instagram handle? And he goes, oh, hang on, I got to look it up. She's like, okay. And he goes, yeah, I've got like 50 of them. And the lady was like, why do you have 50 Instagram handles? And John Abraham, by the way, this part, jokes aside, this is a serious part of the conversation that I very much enjoyed with John Abraham. He said, well, because after I retired, he said I was having some sincere mental health issues. Some of them caused by football. Some of them just, I struggle. He said I was having some mental health issues. And I'm comfortable talking about this because he openly talked about it. But he said I was having some mental health issues. He said basically I would forget. I would just forget stuff days at a time. He's like, I do stuff over and over because I forgot I did it. I was really struggling for a little while there, and I was having some other problems. And he goes, so I would create an Instagram, and then I'd forget I did it, and I'd make another Instagram, forget I did it, whatever. And I said, oh, man, I'm really sorry to hear that. And he goes, no, don't worry about it. He goes, I did a bunch of reading. I did a bunch of education, and I've been able to get some treatment, get some help, and I'm just in a way better place now. And he said, that's why I'm trying to get out there and like not just do some broadcasting, but to like really kind of push that it's okay to go get help. It's okay to talk to people. It's okay to seek out experts and professionals and folks that study this and understand this and ask for help. He said, I'm in a better place now than I was when I was playing football because I was willing to go out there and get that help. And I thought that was a very cool moment. There were a bunch of high school kids standing around us too. I thought it was a very cool moment that this gigantic Billy Badass of a football player was willing to tell these kids I was struggling. This is one of the biggest bros I've ever seen. Just a dude that if you looked at this guy, you go, if this man has a problem, he punches it and it's solved. If this man's car breaks down, he punches the car and it turns into a Ferrari. That's how badass this dude is. And he was willing to tell these kids, I was struggling bad with mental health. I was having sincere mental health problems, and I went out and got myself some help. And once I went out and I got myself some help, I am now in a better place to be more successful than ever before. And I thought that was a very, very cool minute from John Abraham. All right. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it is WrestleMania week. Yesterday on Fight Club, we gave you all of our thoughts and predictions from night one, tomorrow night, Saturday night. When we come back, bonus Fight Club with the Great Malonzo. We take a look at Sunday, night 2 of WrestleMania. Give you our predictions, picks, prognostications, and projections. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Creepy weather guy.
'Cause I'm a creep. I'm a meteorologist. What the hell is this weather? Is it gonna rain here? Give me 30 seconds, guys. Right back.
to the best who play our best basketball this time of year.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate. The Fan Upstate. Here's how to get in the game. On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville. 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into this subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
I just don't think he's good enough to be.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable. I get ferocious, I want your heart, I want to eat your children. I'd like to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody. This is the
All right, welcome into day number 2 of the Fight Club. Just like there's going to be 2 days of WrestleMania. One of the best decisions they've made, probably financially and otherwise for people who like to watch it, was putting it on 2 days instead of having a ton of matches on one day, and it gets a little tired in the middle. Now you don't have to worry about that. You've got 2 days worth of wonderful wrestling action. And, according to all reports and everything and all the documentaries back in the day, if WrestleMania 1 didn't work, that would have been it for then WWF. But it did. And here we are at WrestleMania 41. Let's get into night 2 and the matches. First of all, we have to speculate on one match that hasn't been announced yet, at least as far as I know, and that's Randy Orton versus somebody.
Versus somebody.
Versus someone.
For years and years, I've given a ton of respect to our 275-time champion, Vacant. Like, Vacant shows up every now and then and does a great job. Somebody is a newcomer on the scene, and I'm excited to see his performance this weekend.
Well, do you want to see him against Solo? Do you want to see him against someone, an old timer coming back? I mean, him against Steve Austin? Yeah, I wouldn't see that. That's not going to happen. The RKO versus the Stunner. I'd love to see that. Not going to happen. I do want to see Nick Aldis because I never saw him wrestle, and I know that he was a champion. And dude, beneath the suit, you were talking about last segment about people beneath that suit.
He's still in shape.
That dude is jacked. You can tell.
From what I understand, he's been working towards a comeback. So I guess that's probably a possibility.
But he can't come back from that once he starts wrestling, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, Sonny Deville was kind of doing a joint wrestler / authority figure gimmick there for a minute. I mean, I think it's fine. The only issue I have, and this is not anybody's fault, there was no way to avoid this, obviously, because of the Kevin Owens injury, unless the KO injury turns out to be a work. I do not believe it is. I think he's genuinely out.
I just saw a thing by the WWE that he's there and doing an appearance.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
but, I mean, like Edge, like he can't there's a difference between I'm paralyzed and I can't wrestle. He can't wrestle. He can still show up and be a part of the show. I assume Kevin Owens is going to be around that organization for a very long time. Not anything anybody could do about it, but like, I know you want Randy in there. I know you had a spot for the match. I think there's probably 4 or 5 other things going on the roster that you would have been better served to put a spot there. I don't know what you get out of this other than maybe Nick is like, I got one match in me. And you're like, let's be real. He's done a fantastic job since he showed up as GM.
Agreed.
You give him his one opportunity at a WrestleMania moment. And I would think Randy probably lets him go over in that spot. And that's, the ideal moment for Randy to turn back heel. I don't know.
Or do you fast track a move that you're going to make, moving someone up from NXT or something like that? Because, on the Monday after Mania, there's usually people move up, people move around, that kind of thing. People make comebacks. Is there someone coming back that you could throw into that match? I don't know, because you're not going to have Randy Orton lose. So whoever they throw in there is going to lose.
I don't know about that. What is in this spot? What is your rationale for a must-win moment for Randy Orton? I don't think there is one. I think you can have him lose. You can utilize that as a heel turn, and now you have the Viper back, which, let's be real, is the best version of Randy Orton. unless there is, again, some angle with Kevin Owens here as a non-wrestler. I don't know.
Kane on the stream says Karrion Kross. I love Karrion Kross, so I would be okay with that.
But there's no interaction there.
Well, I mean, is a WrestleMania worthy? The rumors are he's going to do an open challenge, so anyone can come out to an open challenge.
Like, fine, but I'll give you the example. Don't you think?
So you would rob him of the WrestleMania match because of that injury, because there's no story behind it?
Yes,
I would not.
Yes,
I mean, let him wrestle someone.
I mean, again, number one, Randy's not done. I mean, if this was his last WrestleMania, sure, but like it's not. And number two, isn't this one of those moments where if we were talking about something else, we'd go, it's bigger than you. No matter who you are, it's bigger than you. Like you're just gonna kind of jam a match in there that has nothing to it. Put Chelsea Green out there and let her defend a belt. Put one of the women's champs out there and let there be a moment. Put a young up-and-comer that's like genuinely trying to make something happen out there. Give me something that matters versus, hey, here's Randy Orton, because that's what it's going to be, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I want to see Randy wrestle. All right, a match that is going to happen, and whether you like him or not, he usually is a still the show kind of guy. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
I mean, Logan Paul's going to win.
Is he?
Yeah. Why would he not?
Yeah, I believe AJ Styles is going to
win. I hope you're right.
Because Logan Paul hasn't been wrestling regularly lately due to stuff. And I would like to see a Logan Paul, AJ Styles feud for a while.
I would like to see a Logan Paul versus MIA feud.
See, this is like when I go see an actor who I do not like, but I like the role they're playing, so I'm okay with it. It's like you can't get past that and realize this is an actor.
There is a dramatic difference between someone who made a mistake and I can forgive and give a second chance versus someone who has literally turned being a bad person into a career field. That's what he's done. He's just been, he is a career not bad guy, not playing a character who is a heel. I mean, in real life, has just been a bad person and has monopolized it, capitalized on it. And no, that guy goes out and has a big time mistake, has a meltdown, gets arrested, whatever. I can go, you screwed up, you had a bad night, you made a mistake, forgive and forget, we move on, be better. This guy constantly embraces being a bad person and makes money off of it. There is a difference there.
There's a lot of people who watch him and look at what he does. So a lot more people will be glad that he's there than are not. The next match is WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match between current champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going up against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I hate these things where they put together a tag team that hasn't been a tag team in a long time ever, and then suddenly put them in there against an established tag team. Liv Morgan and Raquel win.
I hope so, because I got to tell you, and this, I don't know if this is going to be one of the hot takes. I don't get Lyra Valkyria at all.
Yeah, I don't
get it.
Yeah, me either.
I got it at NXT. I got her at NXT. I understood her at NXT. I understood her right out of the gate on the main roster with the whole thing with Becky Lynch. Understood it. Got it. To the two Irish women, one who blazed the trail and one who followed it. I got that. But since then, I don't get it. There's nothing. I'm going to say this respectfully because, again, I'm just a fat, out of shape, random, average, mediocre white dude. But there's nothing special about Lyra Valkyria. She doesn't talk. She's not particularly impressive. There's just nothing there other than she's one of Sean and Hunter's NXT babies that have made it up to the top. I do not understand Lyra Valkyria.
All I can say is so far, Rob not liking Sunday's WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Saturday's WrestleMania he's down for.
Honestly.
Sunday he's not.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. The next match is between friend of the show, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre.
Say whatever you want. I think this match is going to absolutely slap. I think this match is going to be, this might be the best match of the week. Honestly, I believe that. Like McIntyre's heel run of everybody's out to get me And he's been right at certain spots and he's been wrong at certain times. But McIntyre's run has been, to me, spectacular and is not getting enough credit. On the flip side, I think we've got on the verge of snapping friend of the show, buddy of the show, Damian Priest. And I think these dudes are going to beat the hell out of each other.
I saw a video earlier of Drew showing up at an autograph signing.
Kayfabe is not
distance.
dead.
Yeah.
Kayfabe is not dead.
All right. I'm going to go with Damian Priest to win that. Intercontinental Championship. I'm looking forward to this one. Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio.
Sincere question, can Drew McIntyre afford a loss here? I don't think he can. I don't think he can afford a loss. Sorry, I know we kind of skipped off.
He signed a big contract. I mean, in the end, he just...
I understand, but like at the same time...
I know what you're saying, but if...
There is some element of the necessity to keep a guy with a point, and McIntyre has not won anything recently.
Damian Priest needs it to stay relevant because he's lost relevancy after he lost the belt. So Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. I have a prediction here. You're going to look at me like I'm crazy, but I think the benefit of everybody fighting each other, Dominic Mysterio becomes the Intercontinental Champion.
Not only do I agree with you, but we've been trying. All right, where's the split? Where's the split? Where's the split? Where's the split? The split is he pins Finn Balor. That's the split. He pins Finn. Then he turns around and he tries to do like the post-match hug, like, hey, we know we were all out there to try to win this thing, yada, yada, yada. I think he pins Finn, and that's there's your split of Finn from the Judgment Day. Also, you got to put Finn in something here because you got a dude who won the first Universal Championship, had to give it back for injury, and has just kind of been a hanger-on ever since. Here is my question mark, because they've been teasing it for months now. Do we get the Demon back because of it? I hope so. Demon Finn Balor until they fed him to who was it they fed him to? Goldberg or whoever for some dumb reason. The Demon Finn Balor was one of my favorite recent memory caliber.
I think he may have lost to Bray for some reason.
No. He lost to a part-timer and he stopped doing it after that. And it was really dumb.
But he has to be a babyface to do that though, doesn't he? So is he going to turn? I don't know.
I don't know if he does. I mean, I would say yes, but again, if you're going to do that, then don't you have Dominic beat Finn, go on a heel run with a belt, and then down the line, you have the Demon come back to take Dominic out after you have Dominic do some like heinous stuff, like heinous heel stuff.
All right, the next match, Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. I've been loving the Io Sky stuff, showing her in Vegas up in the sky and a blimp or something, and it's Io Sky in the sky. Love that. I love the angle where they're just shoving her off to the side, but I think this is already written. It's obvious who's going to win this, and Io Sky is going to retain. You don't do all the stuff they've been doing by making her look insignificant and her not win. Because if she loses, then Bianca and Rhea shoving her to the side proves that she's not caliber of being a champion.
Yeah, if I'm putting odds on this, Io's like minus 10,000. Like she's winning this match. It's you're gonna get your Bianca Rhea feud out of it. Great. I don't know what you're doing with Io Sky after she takes off to this next level, or if you have. Because you got Rhea and Bianca natural rivalry built there. I don't know where you go with Io Sky, but she is absolutely winning this match.
All right, and finally, will this be the year? Will this be the time? John Cena, heel Cena, on his final run in the WWE, going up against Cody Rhodes for the championship. It's you talk about being written. It's written that Cena's going to win this, but is he? I mean, I don't think he necessarily wins this. I want him to get to 17. I do, because to me, he's the greatest champion ever in the WWE, without a doubt. That's my opinion. He has been.
Oh, it was Edge that beat the Demon.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Cena versus Cody. Cody has had a good run. I think he's again a guy who's better chasing, but he hasn't been a horrible champion. And look at who he had to follow. I mean, that's hard to do right there. I want Cena to break the record. I do. I'm tired of hearing about Ric Flair. That is over with. Let's give it to Cena. And if Randy Orton ends up breaking it, I'll be okay with that too. So I'm going to predict that Cena wins because of interference, probably The Rock, or one of his other soulless people. But I think Cena wins.
Cena's absolutely winning, and he's winning for a couple of reasons. Number one is, and I think Triple H is aware of this because in that podcast he did the other day that made the rounds when he was popping off, he's like, "Oh, the internet's not real life," and people complain, but Cody sells all this merch, and it's like, yeah, he does to the cheering, and I get that, and that's part of the reason of keeping him there. But everybody I talk to, those of us that have the money that buy the stuff, whether it's for ourselves or the cheering, we all think he's a boring champ. Sorry, he just is, and that's not a thing against Cody. As I've said a million times, it is hard to be a babyface champion that is a longtime champ. It's hard to do it because what am I reacting to? Right? It's hard to do it without feeding them a stream of heel characters. But in order to do that, you got to just keep having a bunch of heels work up to a title shot and then get knocked back down. And that's also bad for the roster. So I think you have Cena lose it. I do think it will be interference, although I don't necessarily think that you need to do it. I think you can just build this up as, how much y'all hated Super Cena LOL back in the day? Now he's that, but he's not going to hold himself. It's kind of like the Spider-Man thing. I'm a big comic book guy. In the comic book, Spider-Man is one of the physically strongest superheroes, but he has to hold himself back all the time because if he really fought, he would dust people, right? I think you make that scene. I think you have him come out. It would
be like Invincible.
I think you have him come out honestly, and I think you have him beat the hell out of Cody Rhodes. I think you have him beat the hell. I think you play it as Cody, like, trying to, throughout the match, like, get through to John Cena, right? Like, get through to John Cena. Hey, man, this isn't you. This isn't who you are. And then at one point, you have John Cena, maybe a dirty shot or whatever, just absolutely beat the hell out of Cody. And then the Cody Rhodes chase is back on with him going, I tried to get through to you. I tried to help you be true to yourself. I tried to bring back the old John Cena, but it's clear that guy's gone. And now I'm going to beat that guy back at whatever. Okay. And now you've got your chase. Cena gets his record, and you have a John Cena redemption arc on the other side.
Here's what I see that's going to happen. You're going to have the exact reverse of what happened last year when all the baby faces showed up to help Cody win. A bunch of heels are going to show up to help Cena.
Who?
People that we didn't know are under the Rock's thumb. And we're going to find out. Some may be surprises, some may not.
I don't think you need it. I think it is more compelling to let John Cena just beat the dog snot out of Cody Rhodes and have Cody go with that. The guy I used to know is gone.
Yeah, I just don't see
this is a new guy.
Part-timer do that to Cody.
John Cena's not. John Cena's scheduled for like the next 75 Raws and SmackDowns.
Right. He was a part-timer for 10 years.
Yeah, but this isn't Brock Lesnar part. This is 17-time champ John Cena part-timer. I feel like he's earned the special stuff.
No, is it?
It will be after
16.
Sunday.
Okay.
Hey, that's it for us. Let's get some more sports talk in here when we come back, shall we? Hey, we got an update on the Nico Iamaleava story from yesterday. He cost himself a lot of money. Let's talk about that and more. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Seth comes in and helps after he's already turned. Who knows? Maybe Drew McIntyre. I mean, there's some. Logan Paul comes in and helps Cena win. I mean, there are plenty of heels. A returning Miro, whatever it is, Rusev, a returning Rusev helps.
Yeah, but Rusev hates Cena. They had their own thing. He's got no reason to help John Cena.
Yeah, but
unless it's like
but Rusev,
Rock said he wouldn't sign me to a contract
exactly,
unless I helped him.
Exactly. You build more of the final boss thing, who doesn't even have to be there for it. But I still think he's going to be there. Yeah, and it's in Vegas. It's not that far away from California. Fantasy booking is one of the funnest things about wrestling. I think this will happen. I hope this happens. And you see, he and Rob and I both have different things that we'd love to see happen. At least in that match.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ for the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-507-9701. That's 800-507-9701. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people. Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because of one thing and another.
I also saw something from the White Six earlier. It said, "See you soon."
Sweet.
Yeah,
I'm in.
but who would they be going after? They better not be going after the greatest luchador of all time.
Oh, Grande Americano.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective. A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
What would you write on the "Thank You Cena" wall? Have you seen it?
I have not.
There's a wall that they have up for people to write on. It says "Thank You Cena," and you can write whatever you want. Someone wrote, "Thank you, Cena. AEW sucks."
With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call thegranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Final segment of the day, final segment of the show, final segment of the week here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Biggest story of the week, obviously, has been the Nico Iamaleava story. He was making $2 million in NIL at Tennessee. He has then asked for an increase to $4 million a year. Josh Heupel, after Nico Iamaleava skipped out on a couple of meetings and practices, kicked him off the team. He is now reportedly very close to signing a deal with UCLA, which would be for a little bit shy of $2 million. So almost the same deal with Tennessee, except for the state of California has a state income tax, which would, according to reports, cost him in the neighborhood of like $600,000 out of that nearly $2 million, meaning after all of the taxes accountable go out of the paycheck, Nico Iamaleava is actually going to be making closer to $960,000 than the $2 million he was getting in Tennessee.
How's he supposed to live off that, Rob?
I don't know is the answer. That's
know.
honestly, like that's poverty. That's poverty numbers. Look, I don't have an issue with Nico asking for more money, as long as Nico realizes that they can say no, and they can not only say no, they can say no and get out, which Tennessee ultimately did. I don't have a problem with Nico Iamaleava asking for more money, as long as he has the recognition that it may result in him having to play football somewhere else. And if he has to play football somewhere else, he may not make the same amount of money. I have no issue with anything that is happening in this whole story. There was, however, there was a new wrinkle in the story yesterday. A couple of outlets wrote. Now, and I do want to, before I tell you what the report is, I do want to point out that it is very possible, dare I even say probable, that this is damage control from Nico Iamaleava. The news story is that the reason Nico wanted out is not the take it from 2 to 4 million. But the reason he asked for an increase from 2 to 4, and this is why I do think it probably is damage control from the Nico Iamaleava camp. The reason he wanted damage control was because Nico went to Tennessee and said, part of the reason I struggled last year is because I don't think that you guys really tailored the offense. And apparently asked Josh Heupel to modify the Tennessee offense to suit his game better. And the story was that the request to bump him from $2 to $4 million was to not modify the offense because he feels like it might cost him an NFL draft position or 9 when the draft rolls around. And this would basically be a trade. Tell you what, give me $2 million more, and then you don't have to change your offense at all. But if you do change your offense, I'll make more money in the NFL, so I'll worry about it then. I think it's damage control. I think it's PR spin from Nico Iamaleava. But I do want to be clear. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about Nico losing out on, what was it, 1.1 something million dollars that he would have made if he would have just showed up and played. I don't care about the impact that it has on Nico Iamaleava as a player. I mean, it sucks for him. He lost 1.1-ish million dollars. But again, you had an opportunity. You decided to shoot the shot. It didn't work out. It backfired. You're gone. It stinks. That's why my old man used to tell me all the time, make sure you don't leave a job till you know you got another job lined up. Now, that's kind of tough to do in Nico Iamaleava's spot. I mean, to some degree, it's tough for me, right? When I sign a contract here, I sign a non-compete that says if I leave this company for any reason, there is a big circle drawn on the map, and I'm not allowed to broadcast on another outlet inside that circle. That is an agreement that I make and have to agree to for compensation. And if I refuse to agree to it, I don't work here. It's real simple. So I get it's kind of on him to some degree, but also, like, I think this is good for football. As I got a quarterback from South Alabama signing on with North Carolina, signing a $2 million, a 2-year, $4 million NIL. Say it with me. Contract. You see how important that is? And I believe that contract for this kid to move over to go play for Chapel Bill, I believe that contract is a direct result of the Nico Iamaleava story. I believe that is Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend protecting the school, protecting the team, protecting the program, and protecting her boyfriend, Bill Belichick. I believe that to be the case. I believe it is the case that they saw what happened with Nico and went, tell you what, come on over, come play for Chapel Bill, come play under one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time, maybe the greatest NFL coach of all time, and we'll sign you to a 2-year deal. And this kid had to look and go, all right, do I take a 2-year deal? Did they only offer a 2-year deal? I'm actually really excited to hear how the negotiations for this contract came out. Because if they came to him and said, hey, we're not going to sign you to a 1-year deal. We're going to sign you to a 2-year deal. You're going to be here for 2 years. You're going to agree for 2 years. I don't know what the contract says. I hope there's a buyout in the contract. If you decide to leave after 1 year, you got to pay off the rest of it. But I believe that the contract for the kid moving from USA up to UNC to play for Chapel Bill, I believe the contract is a direct result of the Nico Iamaleava story. And I believe because of that, this is going to be something that you are going to see become more common in the future. Players having to sign one more time, everybody, contract.
The Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Sorry I didn't participate. I was afraid my harmony would be off. So I didn't want to mess. All right, let's start with just the thing that you'll be most interested in this entire thing. And you won't know why at first probably, but we'll go with it. Ashley Tisdale is Xing.
I am the most interested in this thing. I do not know why
All
Ashley
right,
Tisdale.
Disney Channel Mount Rushmore.
Ooh, that's good. Raven Simone. See, I don't know. Most of the Disney Channel, like the shows that went big, Josh and Cody and all that, that was all well after I was growing up.
This is all the girls is what's happening right now. Disney Channel girls.
Hillary Duff, Raven Simone, Ashley Tisdale, and I don't know. I don't know who the last one would be.
See, this is more in your
No, all these people were on Disney Channel after Rob Brown was an adult. I was gone at that point. Like I was an adult now. I don't know who else I would put on that list.
All right, I'm trying to look here. Someone has Miley Cyrus on there.
Yep, that's it. That's
Selena Gomez, Zendaya.
Oh, what's her face? Old skinny wicked girl, Ariana Grande. I know that's where she got her start too. I don't know what the name of the show or where she came from or what she did or anything like that, but I know that's where she got her start.
I thought that was on Nickelodeon, but that could be wrong.
No, she was on I don't remember that show, but it was definitely on Disney.
Okay, the next thing it's Xing is Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Because they found out that there are some people out there that put the cereal in their mouth and then drink the milk and chew it up. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch was like, "You're not allowed to eat our cereal anymore."
That's not why.
Then I don't know.
All right. There's several reasons. First of all, a lot of Denzel posts thinking that Cinnamon Toast Crunch had died, and we're pretty relieved by that. Some other people concerned that Cinnamon Toast Crunch had been deported. That has not happened. Although I mean, I don't know. I don't know if cereal has been tariffed yet, but it's more about the best cereal. Another one of those.
Fair enough.
So you're saying it is or it isn't?
It's in my top 3 or 4.
All right, the next thing is Xing the Silver Surfer.
Silver Surfer Xing because yesterday is it the first? I think it's the first full trailer of the Fantastic Four movie dropped, and the Silver Surfer is in it, and a bunch of nerds got mad that the Silver Surfer's a girl. Well, actually, you losers. In the comic books, there are various iterations of the Galactic Herald, including a female Silver Surfer, and for the record, Thor once served as the Herald of Galactus. So shut up, dorks.
All right, so that anger is old. That was from a year ago when it was announced. The reason why it's Xing is because she has Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
I mean, people weren't expecting that.
Yeah, but so was all the Mystiques when they were blue. Like, some of us get turned on by weird stuff. Shut up.
Yeah,
stop judging.
Different colors and things. Speaking of blue, the last thing is Xing is, or is it green? Ahsoka is. She's orange more than got some blue in her. The one.
All I'm gonna say is the Ahsoka series was awesome and it needs more credit.
Season 2 will be. They're gonna start working on it as soon as Dave Filoni gets back from Japan, because Star Wars Day in Japan was yesterday, or Fan Fest, and there's a bunch of announcements, but that is one of them. And Ahsoka season 2 will start filming when he gets back.
Also trending, and I'm throwing this here at the end because I think it is important. Learn your history, kids. Today is the 250th anniversary of the ride of Paul Revere, and like 5 other dudes that didn't get caught and were also successful.
By land, 2th by sea.
If you go to Boston, Massachusetts, you can actually take a tour that will bring you to the old South Church, which is where they hung the lanterns that told Paul Revere and the rest of the riders.
Or you could play Fallout 4 and you can walk the Freedom Trail and actually go in that church.
Yeah, but also just go to Boston and
but if you can't afford that,
awesome.
Fallout 4 is on Game Pass.
The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, and again, other members of the Sons of Liberty like William Dawes and Robert Newman, et cetera, rode through the countryside alarming and they would not have said the British are coming because they were British. They would have said the regulars are coming. The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere was, of course, glorified in the story, in the song, The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, which was largely made up by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Learn your history, kids, because history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. Have a great weekend, everybody. Do not drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. Enjoy WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see you back here on Monday to do it all over again, but better, on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
poo candy ass.
Wow, I don't know if you needed to come at them that way, like at the end. I mean,
Come at who?
Coming at the listeners. You called them all them names and stuff.
I didn't call my names.
You called them Rudy Poos. I heard it. I don't think of you as Rudy Poos. Happy Easter, everyone.
I do hope you all, have a lovely WrestleMania weekend. Thanks for being here. You're all spectacular people. Tell your friends about us. See you Monday. We are not off Monday, so we will be here. So see you then. Goodbye.